Good evening, Bigfoot, cryptid, Dogman, whatever kind of fan you are. We got it tonight, man. Uh, got a hell of a cast here tonight. I'm a little nervous. I got some superstars in here tonight. So, starting with the bearded egg, or otherwise known as Jeff Youngton. How you, brother?
I'm good today.
You're good today. I know you got it all out of your system, so you're good to go. Anyway, David Blaylock, brother Blaylock's back on a computer, no less.
Actually, here.
He's here. So hopefully that works out for you, and we'll know what to do from now on. So
Yes,
Good
sir.
3 hour time difference over there.
and in West Coast babies, you know. But first time I've had a chance to talk to Mr. Darrell Denton, and I'm certainly honored to have you on the show, and I'm sure we all are. And Mark
Shoot,
Green as well.
I'm honored to be here. I appreciate you inviting me.
We're, we're just up and coming. We're in show 23, so
Well, that's all
we're,
right. No matter if you're on number one or number 233, just as long as you're
that's
having
right.
a good time and learning, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's about is learning. We're not here to
Appreciate
impress
having me.
anybody.
That's right.
We want all the knowledge we can get. Mark Green. Well, Mark and Becca, but you're Becca-less, I guess. So
Yeah, she's over here on the side of me.
okay,
She's staying out of it tonight.
I got you. There she is. We got the hand wave anyway, that's for sure. But yeah,
I'm
this is
over
interesting.
here. I'm just letting this be Mark's.
Okay, it's that's a pretty interesting conversation. They didn't have to say anything. They just started right away. I probably should have just hit go live so let them start talking. But I mean, everybody knows who these two guys are, and they don't need any introduction. And I'm just going to ask both of you. Uh, we all believe in Bigfoot, and I think we all believe in Dogman, whether we have experiences or not. But uh, I had my first experience, I think it was 1972 through a bedroom window. And, I was old enough to know what I was looking at. I didn't know what it was at that age of 5. But I want to ask you guys. Yeah, we know I don't know if you call yourself researchers, though we both know you are. We all know you are. But tell us anything Bigfoot, anything Dogman, if you're interested in that subject as well. Uh, any findings, any beliefs, anything you've come across?
Well, who you want to go first? You go ahead, Mark.
It's
You
wide
go
open.
ahead, Darrell. You go ahead, huh?
You flip a coin, Jeff.
Go ahead, Darrell.
Well, I can't say I didn't ever believe in them. I had my first encounter on November the 6th of 1992 on my grandfather's large farm in Cannon County, Tennessee. I'd heard about Bigfoot. I was quite a bit younger then, and I've been hunting up there all my life on that farm and never been that far in before. My grandfather had a very rural farm. Closest house was probably a mile away. And all of his neighbors had adjoining large farms, and we could hunt them too. And me and 3 or 4 of my buddies, that particular time, me and 3 of my buddies were up there. We took my camper and our ATVs and camped out next to the barn, and that was my very first encounter then. That was, like I said, November 6th of 92, and pretty much scared me to death. I don't scare very easy. I've seen about everything you can think of in the woods. But since then, I've had, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many encounters I've had. I befriended a family on the Cumberland River in '99. They changed my thought pattern again. I didn't feel the fear quite as bad as I did. Entered another clan in 2018 with my buddy Billy Howell and Darrell Yarbrough and actually Charlie Raymond of Kentucky Bigfoot Research came down with us a few times. But that was 2018. Billy Howell, a friend of mine, had some problems, and then I've had other encounters. They attacked my farmhouse that same year, 2020, for about 3 or 4 months, scared me to death, and terrified my animals, my horses. Killed all my cats, and just a crazy thing. And then I've seen 3 Dogmen. First one in October of 21 in Tazewell County, Virginia. Flesh and blood creature. My second Dogman was in the LBL. It was running, Martin Groves, and I watched it run across a hill. Third one was October of 22 when Martin Groves and I seen the craziest creature that I've ever seen. It went from a blue mist into a massive Dogman. It was 5 to 7 foot for me. I thought it was going to kill us, but it didn't. So obviously, so I've had some experiences. I don't know why, but it seems like I seem to kind of attract Bigfoot, and then normally I have some kind of thing about me where I feel their presence, and I don't know how that works. I wish I did know. And Martin Groves is who I'm talking about. He's been my best friend 43 years and one of my research partners, and he had similar things with the Dogman. So some pretty crazy things that I've been through. Still doing it. That's my part.
Well, of course, growing up, I've seen some of the shows like In Search Of and some of the others, and growing up in a hunting family, fishing, outdoors, farming family. I mean, sometimes I would think about it a little bit, but I mean, I was avid coon hunter, so I was in the woods at all times of the night. Now, I am going to say I've heard some crazy things and had some weird things happen, but never thought about it being Bigfoot. But in 2007, was hunting in Lowndes County, Alabama, on the Lowndes County management area, and that's just right there east of Selma, Alabama. Right there close to dark, I had a what I figured out later was pretty much a Bigfoot sneak up behind me, and got to talking to some other people online about it, and come to find out later on, found out I had them on my hunting club here where I live at, and then started researching with Mr. Tal Banco and my friend Keith Tyler and several other guys, Pat Rance and Adam Bassett. Come to find out, they just all around where I live at, out in the Talladega National Forest and on people's private property, and so that's how I got started with it. And I've met a lot of nice, good people in that time period, and called all of them friends and stuff. And so that's how I got started in it. So I've been doing it since 2007, real strong.
Yeah, that's one thing about the subject. It does bring people together. Those that have an open mind and understand what really is out there. I mean, a lot of people are skeptics. I mean, that's what makes the world go around. But yeah, there's not a doubt. I don't try to push it on anybody. I have people that ask me, and I ask people. But surprisingly, some people I think, well, they'll think you're crazy. Well, actually, tell you something. Actually, they have stories. Nothing solid, nothing proven, but it's surprising how many people will talk about it privately. Off
The funny thing about that is back when I had my first encounter in '92, you couldn't go talking to people. There wasn't. It was completely different then. There wasn't any podcasts, radio shows, groups about discuss Bigfoot or Dogman or any type of cryptid. And very few of your friends, you didn't want to tell them, hey, I just seen this hairy creature. Matter of fact, when I had my encounter at my grandfather's place, I was with 3 of my buddies, and we were all close. And even when I mentioned it to them, they were like, "Did you have a lot to drink last night?" And I said, "I didn't have anything to drink." I just kind of left it there. I didn't go any further with it. I just let it go. But we're in a day and time now where you have a little more acceptance. People at least listen. I mean, there's always some what I call trolls out there that's gonna think you're crazy, and I'd say about half the people I've talked to that don't know whether they believe in Bigfoot or not, their answer is always, "You've seen a bear." And I haven't seen a bear. I know what I've seen, and I got to the point back probably 10 years ago. Me and Michael Patterson started the very first group on Facebook that I'm aware of about Bigfoot, and that was in 2015. It was called Blue Ridge Sasquatch and Crypto, and Michael's still got it, and he's in my group mostly now, but it's still around. And not very as many members as it once had, but when we started that group, it was like a magnet. So many people started coming in and talking to us because people scared to death to tell their stories. They had nobody to talk to. You know, it was really like, it was almost like PTSD for some of these people. They were scared to death anyway, and they had nobody to converse with. And, you know, it kind of opened up a door for a lot of people to have some peace and comfort. So, you know, it has changed a lot, and that is a big plus for the people who are seeing these, you know, these creatures, no matter what it may be, whether it's a Dogman, Bigfoot, or some other type of cryptid. So you can go on a podcast like this, or join a group, and you can talk about it. So that's a big plus. It makes a difference when you do have somebody to talk to.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, the subject's not as hard to talk about today.
We've gotten lucky and had a few locals, but I'm still like pulling teeth trying to get people. I've got people, but they just don't want to talk.
I think eventually they will once they excuse me, once they get to know you, and you don't push the issue on them. I think, you know, and just chat
Well, you
with
know,
them.
Jerry, once we got Elaine to talk, she did great.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so did
Yeah, Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean's had 3 Dogman
Sean's
experiences
seen 3
here,
dogs.
the
Wow.
next county over from us, in an area that you would say there's no way. But
Yeah.
back a few years back, yeah, there was some undeveloped land out through there. Today, I would say if they're being seen, they're getting run out. You know, because there's just so much development going on over in that county over there.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people are seeing more things anyway. The land development and, you know, the industry moving in, plus housing developments have pushed a lot of these creatures out of their area. Plus, you got a lot more people in the woods than you used to have that are out looking for this stuff. So that makes a big difference. But when you're pushing them out of their home area that they've lived in a long time, or a lot of generations, you know, have lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to start seeing them because a lot of them aren't going to relocate.
And that's here with bear, Jeff. You know, I mean, for years we never had bear here, really. Maybe an occasional straggler would come through, but now with the building out in Western Maryland and then the mountains of Pennsylvania here, central Pennsylvania, they got no place to go but here.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Well,
Follow the
everybody
river
kept
down and
saying,
stuff.
"Oh, they're coming from Western Maryland." I was like, "They're not coming from Western Maryland. Pennsylvania's right there. They're coming across the damn river."
Yeah, they're coming down the river and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fly the crow only a couple of miles from the river here, so. And
Now, what river are you talking about?
Susquehanna
Okay.
River. Yep.
Okay.
So, but I mean, they're becoming more prevalent. So, in fact, I would say there was probably more hominid reports, if you will, back in the day versus a bear sighting here, you know, in the county here and stuff. So, but the bear are becoming more prevalent. So,
Well,
Not that they're causing any
Alabama, I know, has a lot of Dogman sightings. You know, because I've heard Coombo talk about them a little bit, and he talks about Bigfoot more than anything. But you know, Bettina Moss lives in Huntsville, and she's had 3 or 4 encounters. One in Huntsville, and one or two not too far from there. So, you know, I haven't ever researched Alabama very much. I don't think I've been there but one time researching, and that's been years ago. But they're everywhere. I mean, they're all over the United States. These creatures are, and you know, I heard I don't mention names because I don't want to criticize anybody. I'm not a person that likes to do that. If I'm going to say something bad about you, I'm going to say it in front of you, not behind your back. But there's a scientist out there that I think he's done a whole lot for this world, for us, especially proving the existence of Bigfoot, because he's done a tremendous job of that. But he thinks they're an ape, and I don't. So that's where our differences start. But he made a comment at the conference I spoke in Florida last year that he thought there was 4,000 Bigfoot in the United States. Now, I'm sorry, I don't like to do laughing emojis or laugh very much, but I think there might be 4,000 Bigfoot in Middle Tennessee. So
Yeah.
I don't know where that number ever came from. So there are a lot more of these numbers of these creatures than there was when I started, I believe, anyway. It seems that way to me.
I agree 100%. That's a very low number. Not that I have any expertise, but I just that number in one state, maybe in one particular area of the state, maybe. Yeah, I agree. But across the United States,
Well,
that
I'm
number.
sure not an expert at anything but saying my prayers. But you know, I can't see that lower number. I just don't. By what I've been around anyway, you know, I don't know. Maybe my number is a little higher than it really is, but that's a lot closer than 4,000 in the United States.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think they're an ape. They're a. I don't know what they are, but I know they're not just an ape. I think they're like us, so to speak. You know, and in
Well,
a different way. They
they have
breed.
super intelligence about them. I mean,
Yes.
I've been around many of them. They're not. These things have special abilities that. You know, my grandmother used to tell me that we had special abilities. We just didn't practice them, and we quit using them a long time ago. And my grandmother was, you know, Lakota Sioux, and I listened to her and learned a lot from her. But you know, these creatures can actually they know what you're thinking, and I don't know how they know that, but I believe they do. And
Uh-oh.
probably not going to see one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the population number far exceeds that number for sure across the United States. Every state, really.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're everywhere. And they're not only in the country either now. Don't get me wrong. They're down.
That's the part that blows my mind, the stories, you know, like Kumbo has talked about right in towns, really.
Sure, I believe that. You know, Scott Carpenter was a good friend of mine, and he actually
Yeah.
helped me rebuke the family that were attacking me in 2020. And you know, he had encounters downtown Maryville and Knoxville, right in the city park. So, you know, I have a lot of great respect for Scott. I sure missed the guy. He was just a world of knowledge and about as honest as they come. He would tell you the way it was, and that's the way I like it told. So, you know, it's amazing where they can be. It really is.
Yeah, Jeff and I were talking about him today. I said I'd never missed a single one of his shows. I always enjoyed him.
There's an incredible lot of straightforward, honest evidence. He really was.
It's good that his son's keeping it going. So
you got that right. Yeah, and you know, and I don't know if you know Harley Owens or not, but Harley's a really close friend of mine, and he's a young guy. I think he's about 20 years old. He's researching now on Scott's.
Yeah, we've had him on before.
Yeah, we've had him on.
Okay.
In fact, he was going to be on tonight, but some things come up. He wasn't able to be on here, but I follow him quite a bit too. Yeah.
Yeah, Harley's he got a lot of the information from Scott's son. Him and Scott's son are very close friends, and he's been researching the same areas that Scott started off and even ended with. So.
Okay. Well, I hope he continues pushing forward with that. So.
Well, it's good to see somebody, a young guy like that, in it. That's my point of that too. You know, because I mean, I'm getting old. I'm already there. So, but there's older crew. We need some younger people in the field now to keep it going and learning. But
fresh ideas.
There's quite a few in it that I know, but I don't know any more into it more than Harley is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has some good stuff. There's no doubt about it. He's got right in the middle of them.
He has that. Yeah, he'll usually message me or call me when he's in the woods and show me the picture before he shows it to anybody else. And you know, he gets out there. He don't mind getting out there. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. He had a Dogman following him all the way back to where he parked his truck, and he was a little nervous. He called me on his cell phone. He said, "I got one, but just follow me on the wood line." I said, "Well, just keep going, get in your truck." I said, "It ain't gonna. I don't think it's going to attack you. If it's going to, it already done it."
Yeah.
So, But anyway, he's, I hope he continues, and I'd like to see some other younger folks get involved in it like that.
Absolutely.
We
David,
did
I
have
agree
a
with you on
young
that.
guy that was involved with us, but
Oh, well, and he had good ideas. Don't get me wrong. The boy had good. I call him the boy. Young man
but
had good ideas.
he was an ass.
Well, I'm not going to call out anybody like that, but it just,
I'm on. Don't worry, I'm on the train this week, Jerry.
it's all right, brother. It's all right. I understand.
You done got rubbed wrong having you headed to jail.
Oh yeah.
I understand. I know
Mark
the
and I
person.
had a long conversation about that this morning.
Yeah.
So, some folks will rub you wrong sometimes. It's just the way they are,
This subject alone can show you some pretty bad apples too, unfortunately. Yeah.
It'll make you get humble real quick, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I learned a long time ago. I just learned I don't really care what anybody thinks. I really don't. If they don't believe me, that's fine with me. Going down the highway, it didn't bother me none. So
Yeah.
I know
And
what I've
that's-
seen and experienced, and I don't need anybody to tell me what I have and hadn't seen. So I can care less what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude by that. That's just the way I become.
I agree 100%.
Same.
I that's why, I contemplated a while before, telling what I had to tell. Actually, it was going to give it all to Kerry Arnold, but unfortunately, we lost Kerry, and I used to talk to him a good bit. But I said, well, I'll talk with Spencer. As the next one, or Mark and Larry, whoever. But it ended up going to Spencer. But it's just, and I don't care. It took me a while to say, hey, just who cares what people think?
Yeah.
It's been on your mind since you're a little kid. And,
I don't know how if you let it bother you, it will bother you. So you just got to move on and just accept. You know what you're talking about, and what's true and real, and what you're saying, and you don't need anybody to criticize you or tell you different. That's the way I look at it.
yes, sir. Absolutely. And what really pushed me to do it was the few things that started happening here. The eye shine, the vocalizations within a month apart. Man, I wish I had an audio recorder at the time, but I have two of them now. But oh my goodness, I wish I could have got them on audio recorder. And a couple other things, big X down here, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when I finally said, you know what? And then I saw the show with Jeff and Spencer and Greg, and I got to come to find out we live 5 miles apart. And I knew exactly where he lived, and my family used to farm. The original people of that farmland over there used to help them farm, and of course that borders Rock State Park, and there's a great story that come out of there back in the 70s. About a black Angus cow getting hit by a car or Bigfoot, but they deemed it as a black Angus cow. But anyway, so that's what kind of just pushed me. I said, it's just time. It's time to get it off your chest. I'm glad I
My
did. Now,
grandfather found tracks here
go.
too, so we're in a good area.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And we got the parks here. There's stories out of them. So
Maryland is a very overlooked state.
I think there's a lot of overlooked states.
yes, sir.
I don't hear anything much out of Jersey, and I'm just amazed at what I see in Jersey. New Jersey is what I'm talking about. I mean, there's formations, and I'm not even out there walking all through the woods. Nobody up here seems to pay any attention or know anything about this stuff. And there are a couple groups that I wasn't aware of that have contacted me, and there seem to be super guys, the ones I've talked to in it. But biggest portion of people don't have any idea about this stuff up here. You don't hear anything like you do when I'm at home in Tennessee or Kentucky or Alabama or any of those areas. Everybody knows about it. They just talk about it. I mean, it's just a common thing that comes up. But I don't know if it's just people don't really pay much attention to it here or not. It's really kind of different.
Yeah, North Jersey's got some mountains and stuff. That land gets pretty challenging up through there in some parts of northern New Jersey.
Well, you get all up through that area, and then you get into New York, and you talk about some vast country anyway. Everybody thinks of New York as a big city. Well, it's not all a big city. You got the outer Adirondacks up there, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's some brute country up in there. I talked to my buddy Jeremiah Fountain tonight before this show started, and he's up there 5 miles from the Canadian border, and he's got everything on his property. Dogman, Bigfoot, he's got it all.
Yeah, some wild country up in New York. You're right. Absolutely. Right, Mark? Jump in here, Mark.
I'm enjoying listening to Darrell talk.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
but-
don't let me do too much talking. I surely don't mind sharing.
I always enjoy listening to Darrell. Well, I'll say this.
appreciate
I'll
that.
say, do what, Darrell?
I sure appreciate that, Mark.
Like the Alabama reports, when you go look over at the BFRO, and I'm not knocking them, so don't nobody think I'm doing that, but they only have so many sightings on there, and I forgot it's like a little over 100 or something like that. But when you get to talking to people from all parts of Alabama, Greg and Coombo and Flat Rock, and everybody is involved in Alabama, Mr. Dale and Miss Bama and all these people, and then you start hearing more and more sightings from other people contacting you, realize then, and just from what I researched, in the past years, there's a lot more than 100 sightings in this state. I mean, I believe it's up in the thousands, but
I agree with that.
you only get the tidbit of it, because there's not a real good place where everybody can send one report in, and so it makes like some areas act like it don't have much when it does. I mean, you don't hear a lot from Mississippi. I mean, you hear some from Mississippi, but we know Mississippi is loaded with these things.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia's
Oh, yeah.
loaded with them,
Oh, yeah.
So, and, it seems like your big states like California, Florida, Ohio is the ones that get the spotlight, but you take Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, all this, the Southeast is full of these things. There's no way around it. They're full of them,
I think there's more in the Southeast because of the climate. That's what I think. But
Yeah.
especially, of course, we don't have the winters we used to have when I was growing up, Mark. You know what I'm talking about there. But used to get a lot more snow when I was growing up. We don't get as much now. But, you got plenty of deer here, game. You got hogs. There's plenty for them to eat, and a lot of fresh waterways too. So,
Right.
and the country for them to hide in is just unreal. I mean, there's so many places for them to hide and live. I mean, there's places that I know of that I don't believe people's ever walked in that area. If they have, it's been hundreds of years. So,
Right.
and it's that way all over the South. There's places that are so remote. You're in a pretty remote area yourself, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got a 500,000 acre national forest 12 miles from me,
Yeah.
so that's a big old national forest, and a lot of it's rugged, and a lot of it you have to walk in there, and I mean, and then some of it's in more deep hollows. I mean, Greg House can tell you the same thing about Bankhead.
Oh, yeah.
Bankhead's a remote national forest, and it's got some deep old hollers and places nobody never goes hardly. So it can be in there. Hey, tell them what's in there that we don't know.
I agree. And not leaving out Maryland either. The guys here from Maryland up there. There's Maryland's as a country. It's a lot of country up there.
Right.
So I'm sure it's loaded with them too. You just don't have as many people that you hear of from that area, and I don't really know why that is. There's certain states that seem to be that way.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, the
know.
funny thing about here, we've got, like where we are, it's a lot of rolling hills and stuff, a lot of farmland. When you get up towards the western part, up towards West Virginia and PA, that's all mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a brother that lived. My nephew, my brother lived in West Virginia, and what are you talking about? Mountain country.
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean,
That-
Tennessee,
Western
Alabama,
Maryland is mountains.
you got some hills and mountains in Tennessee, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
straight up and down in some of them places in West Virginia, and I'm sure Maryland too. But
You'd be surprised at some of the mountains we got. You get up towards the western part of the state because it's all right there along the PA West Virginia border. And
The
I
Panhandle
found some
Mountains, yeah.
stuff up there.
It's all mountains up to there.
But the funny thing is, this state, as many as the reports that we've found, the highest number of reports, and I wish they would re-release that book so I could buy it. The biggest report map I've found, number of sightings, the highest ones, this county.
wow.
Yeah, this county here is the highest in the state reported. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a question: have any of you gone in the woods that never had a sighting, end up seeing a Bigfoot and canine, or canine? I guess maybe Bigfoot and canine, or
Well, I've had plenty of them in the woods. I mean, as far as Bigfoot goes, I haven't had plenty of canine encounters, but I've had 3 in my lifetime since 2021 when I really got into it real heavy. I don't know about the rest of you, but yeah, I've had quite a few encounters with Bigfoot in the woods. You know, I don't think you ever go looking for Bigfoot and find him. I think Bigfoot finds you. Matter of fact, I don't believe that. I know that.
Yeah.
So if they don't want you to find them or see them, or they don't have a feeling toward your intentions, you ain't gonna see one. If you do, it's just him walking by, or he didn't recognize you, and that's pretty rare. So, you know, I don't mean to be cruel to anybody or make fun of anybody, but these people running around out in the woods banging on trees with big old huge spotlights in the middle of the night, and you know, I can assure you that you if you hear a Bigfoot, you probably hear him because he's run off somewhere, because you're not going to get one to come in. And
They're lighting off fireworks.
oh yeah,
I think Kumbo was the one that had me laughing harder than anybody, because I think I can't remember. I think he was in Oklahoma. Somebody kept telling him that shofar didn't work. And if you don't know what a shofar is, you know, if you don't know what one is, then it's a Israeli type horn that they blow over there for ceremonies, and you got to have a certain one supposedly for it to work. Now, you know, Barton only got one, my research partner this year. Martin Groves got one, but you got to have the right one for it to work. And anyway, Kumbo said these guys were laughing at him. He blew the horn, and he could hear them coming through the trees, all these Bigfoot. And he looked back, and they were gone. Wasn't any more laughing about the shofar. So those things, supposedly they do work if you know how to make the right sound with them.
I don't think I want.
Yeah, I think Greg House has been with him when he blew that damn
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I was with him one time on Cheehaw, and he blew that thing. And I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't want to be around with whatever shows up when that horn goes off.
Oh yeah, they said they could hear them coming through the trees, breaking limbs in every direction. They said everybody run to the truck, and I'd like to have been there to see that. It's pretty funny. I seemed like Bama told me that story. It might have been Kumbo too, but pretty funny though. It'd be a good sight to see with that bunch.
Patrick Noble want to know if you lived in Tazewell, Virginia. Tazewell, so.
No, I've never. No, I live in Tennessee. Tazewell County, Virginia is. I stayed up there for 3 weeks. It's a long story on that, and it'll take a while to tell it, but I'll just make it as short as I can. I was at a little country store. My youngest daughter was living in Virginia with her mother for about 3 years, and they're back in Tennessee now. But I was up there. I had a place in Virginia because I wanted to be close to my youngest one. And I'd go up there and stay for a while. And I was in this little country store. It's out in the country up there. It's a place called Carrollton, Virginia, about 20 miles from Suffolk. Good ways, about 2.5 hours to Tazewell County or Tazewell, Virginia, whichever one it is. But I was in this little country store having some coffee like I did every morning when I was up there with these farmers. They were sitting around. I enjoyed talking to them and having a little coffee with them in the morning, and this guy walks in and he says, the guy that owns the store here was an Indian guy, and he didn't understand what the guy was trying to tell him. And I just happened to be sitting at a table right next to the counter there where he walked in, him and his son, and he goes, "You guys know anything about creatures?" And the Indian guy behind the counter, he looked at him like he didn't understand what he was saying. And then he asked him again, "Do y'all know anything about creatures?" And it caught my attention. I was sitting, I don't know, 7, 8 feet from him at the table. And I just looked around and I got up and went over there and said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "We got some kind of creature at our place and it's killing my great aunt. Me and my wife and daughter and son live with my great aunt and it's killing the goats." I said, "Well, I know a little bit about certain creatures. I don't know what you got. Is it a dog or what do you got killing them?" And he said, "Oh, no, this ain't no dog. This is some kind of wild creature." And I said, "Well, have you got any pictures of it or anything?" And he pulled his phone out and he had a few pictures of the tracks. And he asked me if I mind coming out to his place. And I didn't realize it was far away, and I wasn't prepared to go that day, but I got started out there following him a little bit, and I told him, "Hey, look, this is way too far for me today, but I'll come out tomorrow and give me your address." And I got out there and lost reception with my GPS, and I called him on my cell phone, went back to the main highway, and he met me at an old country store that was closed out there in the middle of nowhere. Went across a little creek to where he's to the left, went across a little creek in my truck, and to the left went up to his farmhouse, and they had a pretty good sized farm. And he said, "I'd show you where it happened at." He took me to the goat. When you pull in his driveway, you go across the creek, make a left, go up a little hill, and it goes around to the driveway at the house where his great aunt lived, and his family lived with her. And he showed me the tracks there, and the goats had already been taken off. And when I seen the tracks, it was real muddy right there. I knew immediately what it was. I'd seen plenty of Dogman tracks in Land Between the Lakes. And there's several different type of tracks I've seen, but these tracks were definitely definitive to a Dogman track. That's what I thought it was anyway. And he asked me what it was, and I didn't want to scare the man or nothing. I just told him, I said, "Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I just have to try to take a look, and maybe I'll see what it is." And he said, "Well, just go right where you come in, but make a right, go up on the hill there and park. There's a gate up there where I used to have cows, but we don't have cows up there. Drive through the gate and park, and you can overlook this field here next to the house." And there was a field about 200 yards wide and about 200 yards long. And it was fenced in where they had goats, and there was woods all around the outside of the fence area. And I'd just about given up. I'd been up there. I'd go up there every day because he was seeing them in the evening. So I'd go up there. I'd leave at 2 o'clock and get up there 4:30, 5 o'clock, and set my truck and get my binoculars and watch the field, try to catch a glimpse of what this was. And that went on for, I just about gave up on it. It was about 3 weeks I'd been up there. It was a Friday. And I said, "Well, if I don't see this," I told him, I went up to the house, told him, I said, I haven't seen anything. And they didn't have any more goats because this creature had killed what goats they had. I don't think it was a large amount of them, but it had killed them. And that last Friday evening, right before dark, I was looking in the corner. I seen something move in the corner of that field up there, right where the woods came into a barbed wire fence. Well, it was a kind of like a mesh type fence with barbed wire on top. And I watched something cross the fence, and I was looking through my binoculars, and it was a really different looking creature that I'd never seen before. And this field had some sage grass in it, and this thing was running across the field, but it wasn't running like a dog. It was galloping like a horse. And I'd never quite seen anything like it. And I was watching it with my binoculars as it ran down toward me. I'm overlooking this corner of this field. I'm on a little rise, quite a bit higher, overlooking it. And I was looking at it with my binoculars, and it got close enough. It was coming closer and closer. And every time it would come out of the sage grass, I could see it running. And then it got all the way to the corner of the fence there, and it stopped. right there at the corner of the fence. It looked my direction. It didn't look at me, but looked in my direction. This thing stood up, and I couldn't see its feet when it crossed the fence. I could see the part of the feet, but it did have hot legs, and it looked like what it looked like was a massive German Shepherd, a black one. That's exactly what it looked like, except the head was about 2 or 3 times the size of a normal German Shepherd head. And it wasn't no 10-foot creature. I went down the next day and measured where it was standing next to the tree limb that it crossed the fence there. It was about 6 foot or a little more. So it wasn't a real tall, and it wasn't huge. But it looked just like a black German Shepherd, the face and everything. But it was on 2 legs, and it stepped across the fence and went in the wood line. And that was my first Dogman sighting. That was in October of 21. It was very strange. I'd heard of them, but of course, Martin Groves had seen quite a few at that time with his experience in the LBL. And Martin and I would talk about this stuff back when nobody could talk about it, because I had my experience and he had his. But very different. My first experience seeing one of those creatures, and I went back the next day and took my gun, brought my gun, and a backpack and my camera and some other stuff, and went right where that thing crossed the fence and went back in there. And I probably walked a good 300 or 400 yards. There was a game trail that went right through there, and I was walking it, and you could see tracks in the mud on the game trail, all that Dogman looking track. And I followed it all the way around the side of a bluff, and up under the bluff there were some big rocks right next to the bluff, and the creature had dug a hole out up under there. I don't know if it was several of them or what it was, but you could see tracks going up under that bluff where it had dug out maybe an old part of a cave or something up in there, but it had dug out enough where it was getting up in there. And I walked around it and looked at it and everything, and did not see the creature, but got a little nervous being there. It was almost dark, and I hit it back, but I don't like to be in a place like that much. I don't think anybody should be more cautious. Don't be by yourself out in those kind of areas. But anyway, I was hoping I would see it again, but I never did, and went back the next day after that and sat up there again trying to get another. I wanted to film this thing, and if I could with my cell phone. And when I was pulling in, there was a game and fish pulling out, and he stopped me right in the creek there, and he was coming out and I was coming in. He goes, "What are you doing in here?" And I said, "Well, I have permission to be up here with the gentleman who lives here with his great aunt." And he goes, "Permission to do what?" And I told him, I said, "Just up here on the hill looking around, scouting out a little bit for different type of animals." And he wanted to know information, and made me follow him up to the house because I didn't have a written permission slip. And the guy told him, I told him he could come up there. He's okay. And he started asking me questions about it while I was there again. I told him again, I didn't want to get specific. And he goes, "Well, I'm just going to tell you this. I don't really believe what you're telling me." He said, "But I can tell you this. There's a creature that's killing a lot of livestock around this area right here. And I would suggest you not be back up here again." So, kind of got my attention, He knew all about it. I knew that real quick. And I said, "What kind of creature is it?" And he wouldn't mention anything about it. I asked him twice, and he knew what I was up there for, but he didn't want to elaborate on any of it. So that was my last trip up there.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a good story. I like that.
That is.
The funny thing about that story, this is probably the 1 in a million coincidence. That same year, I was at LBL with my research team, Martin Groves, Barton Nunley. Ron wasn't with us that trip, but we were grilling out at a spot that we research at up there. And Mark Maycheck, I don't know if y'all know Mark, but Mark's a friend of mine. He knows a lot about the LBL. And he come to our camp spot, him and a friend of his. And person I'd ever met this guy, and this guy's a super good friend of mine today, and he hangs out with us up there when we have the Brotherhood meeting. And I know Mark may have met him, but he goes by War Criminal or Matt. And the funny thing about it was, he knew who I was when he said, "Are you Darrell Denton?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Man, it's a pleasure meeting you." I was talking to him, and Mark introduced him to me, and I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm up in eastern Kentucky now." He said, "I live up there." And he said, "But I lived most of my life, and I was a deputy sheriff in Tazewell County, Virginia." And I like to have had a heart attack. I said, "How could that even be possible? I don't know anybody from Tazewell County." And here we are, I don't know, Mark, what is it, 700 miles probably from there? 600? I don't know. It's a long way. But maybe not quite that far, but that was pretty amazing that I met a guy in the LBL that was a deputy sheriff in Tazewell County, Virginia. I told him exactly where I was at. He knew the exact area that I was at. He said they had numerous incidents in that area with Dogman. And I thought that was pretty amazing. I mean, what's the chances of me running into somebody from Tazewell County, Virginia, and, so far away like that?
Yeah, War Criminal's a good guy.
Yeah.
Ain't there been some, what they thought, some deaths in that county too? I think I heard something. Maybe I'm wrong, or that part of Virginia, there was some, what they thought it might have been a dog man or something.
Matt War Criminal, he also mentioned that. You're exactly right. I don't know everything about that. I did talk to him a little bit about it, but there was quite a few things that happened up in that area. He knew exactly where I went. He knew the old store I was talking about on this highway that's closed. That's where I met the man at and followed him to his house. And he knew the exact area where I'd been up there looking for this creature. And he was telling me all about some incidents that happened, just like what you mentioned.
Right. Yeah, I thought I remember hearing that somewhere one time. And
well, it's pretty remote, I can tell you that. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but it's out in the middle of nowhere.
I got family not too far from there. That's where a lot of my family's from.
I actually met some folks from there at the conference this year. I spoke one of the conference I spoke at, and real nice folks. And they were also telling me they had a lot of Bigfoot on their property, but they didn't say anything about any dogman. But that's a pretty remote area, though. I didn't spend a lot of time there, just in that one area only. But I can tell it was way out in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't a whole lot out there.
Yeah, that whole area from Tazewell down. Mine are actually Grayson County. That's where they're from, Mount Rogers area stuff. That's where my family's from.
Well, that's not real. I don't believe that's real far from.
No, there's due south. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think it was real far from West Virginia either.
No, it's real close to West Virginia.
Yeah, I was thinking it was.
Yeah. We say Tazewell, but it's Tazewell.
Well, I may be pronouncing it wrong. It's so Tennessee.
No, you're right. There's no E in there, but for some reason, my family says Tazewell.
Okay. Well, that's so Tennessee boys. We call hollows hollers, and we call lights lights, and so we just talk a little different.
That's all good.
Loss is wash. Wash. Got to wash your hands.
Got to have an R in the word wash.
That's right.
Bars.
Yeah.
Horse.
You're right, Mark.
In West Virginia, I got relatives in West Virginia too, and not too far from where Patrick Noble. I guess he has a place over there too. But yeah, that place over there around Rennick and stuff. My goodness, that's some woolly, remote stuff back in there too. He's like my uncle used to say, you don't go outside off the porch at night for rattlesnakes and stuff. He said you stay on the porch. Tell us that. Yeah.
Well, I got quite a few friends that live up that way, but I actually went up there about 3 years ago and stayed 3 nights with a friend of mine up that way. It's out there in the country now. Mm-hmm. It's out there. I like it that way, though. If you're going to get out there with them, you got to get where they're at.
What? You can do that in a local town, right?
You can do it right in the city park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Martin Groves had a guy call him from Maryville, Tennessee, a judge. This guy's a judge. Called Martin and was telling him, please come up here, bring your buddy, he called me Denton, with you, and y'all come up here because you got to see what I'm seeing up here at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this was a judge, a local judge in office, and he sounded pretty serious to me. He said, I'm telling you, there's a dog man that walks around the road up here at 2:30 in the morning. And this guy was living, downtown Maryville's not a big town, but he's in the city limits. And he said the thing was walking up down the street at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I'm not sure how I could take or handle that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that dog man. I believe in them. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
Well, I think you become a believer of anything when you actually see it for yourself. So, that makes a difference. You can be a believer and I want to be a believer, but when you see one, you're a believer.
Yeah. I haven't seen a dog man, but I've seen the
It
other.
changes your perspective in life when you see.
That's exactly right, Mark. Exactly right. I'll tell you what, I've seen a creature with Martin Groves, Ron Moorhead, and Martin Unley in the LBL this last March. 2 creatures that I've never seen in my life. Don't know what one of them was. Me and Martin couldn't figure out what it was, but it was on the side of a road and off the trace. Us 4 were going to an area that we go to up there, real remote area, and this thing was just sitting on the side of the road, and we stopped to look at it, and of course it took off, but this thing looked like a bear. It was as big as a bear, looked like a bear, but it had a head like an anteater, or it was the strangest looking thing I've ever seen. Completely different type head, and we were just blown away by seeing this thing. It looked like an anteater head. And I don't know what it was. If I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe it myself, but it was there. And then 2 nights later, we were at a closed area that you're not supposed to go back into, that the forestry services there have closed it, a particular campground that is blocked off. And we go there quite a bit on the outside of it to research. And there's a lot of weird stuff around in that area. And for the first time, all 3 of us seen one of those crawler creatures that I've never seen before or heard of. This thing ran up a tree right in front of us. Just ran up a tree like a squirrel, but it was like a humanoid looking thing. And went to the top of the tree and got up in the top of this huge tree. And I went down the hillside in the middle of the woods. I was trying to get a really good picture of it or in the dark, and I couldn't get one, but it got to the top of that tree and was making this clicking noise. It was the strangest thing I ever heard of, like a click, a real loud click, click, like it was trying to communicate. And over behind me, Martin said, man, we need to get out of here. These things are coming in here. You don't need to be over there. You get out from down there. And I was wanting to stay a little longer. I was trying to get a picture of it somehow. But there was 2 more in the woods back behind me. And when this thing would click, made this clicking noise, it's hard to explain how it sounded. It was like a real loud click, click, click. And then these other 2 behind me would click, click back to it like it was talking to each other. And it was strange. I've heard of those things. I've never seen one, but this one here just went straight up this tree like it was nothing to it. Had the humanoid head, real skinny, weird looking, real thin, but that was my first experience with either one of those creatures. I don't know what one of them was, but I wouldn't know what this was if I hadn't seen pictures of it and heard about it. But very strange, but we all seen it.
Jeff, I know what you're getting ready to say. There's a report here.
I know a guy that's seen one.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
In Lancaster County.
Okay.
Yep. Right here at the river.
Right across the river. Come out of the park there. There's a campground, and there's a fence that goes along it. I got a friend of mine who works for the power company, and he actually works the plant right there. And some of the guys that jog down there have heard some weird shit, and probably Bigfoot, but The guy had one cross the road in front of him, came over the chain link fence and climbed the guardrail and went down to the into the drop off.
Wow.
And he said it actually shielded its face when the lights hit it.
This thing here, when I had my flashlight, I heard something running through the brush. And I was 30, 40 foot from this thing. I could hear it running through there. I thought first it was a deer running through there right in front of us. We were on a trail. And shine my flashlight. It stopped. It looked at me, and then it just ran straight up this tree. I was so amazed at how fast it was and how it just climbed the tree like a squirrel would. It was so strange. I had that ability to do that, but it did. And
Wow, that's crazy.
went to the very top of the tree too, and sat up there and made those weird noises. And you know, they got.
If I see one of them damn things, I'm going to hell home.
Well, you know, I've heard from some really close friends of mine, like Shell Dion, Shell Coyote Dion is a good friend of mine, and she's seen several of them. And she said she's absolutely terrified of them, and she was telling me stay away from those things. She says they just come out of the ground. They just come right up out of the ground. She's seen several of them close to her home in Illinois, and
I'm gonna be putting it back in the ground.
yeah, I'm with you. They look pretty evil. I've never heard of anybody being attacked by one. I don't know, but I just, it was very strange. I'd heard of them. It's one of those kind of things where you don't really know if you believe in them for sure. Maybe somebody thought it was something it wasn't, but you wasn't going to rule it out. I'm open-minded, but it's just that was a weird time. We had a lot of occurrences this last March there in LBL and some weird things we've seen that we'd never seen before.
But there's nothing in the woods. Just keep that in mind. That's what we're always told, right?
That's
Oh
right.
yeah. If you listen, if you that's the biggest reason that Martin Groves and Barton Nunley, they probably I would bet that Martin Groves has done more interviews with individuals in the land between the lakes of Tennessee and Kentucky, the LBL, with victims of people that were chased out, were attacked, or victims of people's family members who were killed. And I'm talking about former park rangers, former sheriff's department or deputies, or just regular eyewitness people. I know Game and Fish, a couple of those guys have talked to him. You wouldn't believe all the stuff that he's been told with these people. Now, all these people aren't running around making up stories about Dogman or Bigfoot. I mean, most of this is all Dogman stuff of people being attacked up there. But and Barton Nunley, he had Jan Thompson. He was the first one that done Jan Thompson's story, which he owned the little gas station and restaurant there, where the two officers came in after the '82 massacre, where it killed a family of four in the LBL. And I've camped out at that exact same spot 3 or 4 times where these people were within 50 foot of the exact area, and never had anything to happen there. And we've all camped out there at night and stayed all night. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on. The biggest reason that Martin has donated his time and effort to this because he don't want people to be killed down there. I don't know. I don't have a number of how many people have been injured or killed there. I don't think none of us do, but there's a lot of credible evidence that never gets reported that comes out of there of people who have been hurt, injured, or killed there. And some of it's pretty obvious, and a lot of stuff goes on there. But the biggest thing is you don't want a young family to go into a certain remote area there with their 2 children and be attacked by some kind of creature. I don't understand why. Well, I know why, but I think it's very unfair that, of course, the land between the lakes is 170,000 acres, and it's run by the Forestry Service. It's not a national park. It's a Forestry Service place, but they took it over. I don't know how many years ago, but they're not going to tell people. That's why you don't hear any. That's why you're never going to hear the real proof of Bigfoot or Dogman, of course. If you're not going to hear Bigfoot, you're not going to hear Dogman, but they're not going to admit these things are in the park. The National Park Service, for example, is including the Forestry Service, is a $2.8 billion. That's with a B, $1 billion billion-dollar industry a year.
Yep.
Now, you think they're going to go telling people, okay, don't take your family to the campground here because some dog man might come in and eat you up. They're not going to run away visitors to the national parks and the forestry areas. And that's a huge amount of revenue for the national government. And they're not going to run them away. Plus, you've got that scientific thing that drives me crazy. You know, we've been proving all of our life, you know, growing up in school, this evolution stuff about the ape turning into the human and all that, which I don't believe in any of that because I'm a Christian. I believe that God created all of us, and that's just my belief. You can believe in evolution. That's you're right, but that's another reason. Because why? Because Bigfoot don't fit in evolution. Not anywhere in the wheel does it fit, and they can't find any place to put it. That's why all your great scientists in America call it an ape, because they ain't got nowhere to put a Bigfoot. I personally believe from the ones I knew on the river, I'm not talking about all of them I've run into, but the ones that I communicated with on the river from 1999 for almost 4 years, I was with this family. I camped out with this family of creatures. I asked them numerous times, where are you from? Please tell me your name. I did everything I could to befriend them to trust me to trust them. And we had that type of relationship. It was starting to really come together. 3 of them I seen on a regular basis. When the female touched my finger, she touched my shoe. So, you know, I was friends with that family, and they never were aggressive to me. They were super, super intelligent, and they have their own language. They speak their own language. They understand the American Native language, basically Lakota Sioux, and they understand English. They understand what you're saying. They just act like they don't understand it because they're way more intelligent. So, but I asked that family many times, please tell me where you're from. Are you from the heavens? I just looked at them. Are you from another galaxy? All 3 of them.
Wow.
So you're from another galaxy. That's where you're from, another galaxy up there. Yep. So I believe they're an ancient type human. That's what I think they are. And I'm only going, why would these creatures have a reason to lie to me about? Because I asked them, are you from the heavens? Or have you been here all of your life? They never answered any of those questions. But when I said, are you from another galaxy? Maybe that's just that type. I don't know. Maybe some of them are here forever. I don't have the answers. I can only tell you what I've learned and been told. But, you know, they're not an ape. I can promise you that. They're way, way more intelligent. These creatures left me gifts. They blew whistles. When I would leave, they'd say, bye, bye, bye. Different areas, I'd hear them go, because I would say bye. I'd say, bye, see you guys tomorrow. And when I'm walking off the trail going back to my truck, bye, bye. You could hear that from there'd be different areas I'd hear that bye from. Now, I never seen the whole clan or the whole family. I only seen 3 of them regularly, but the other ones were in there. I'd see parts of them, but they were looking in the bushes. They were in kudzu, if you know what that is, real thick vines. That's what they lived in. I just luckily run into them. I wasn't looking to ever see another one of those creatures again. I was terrified of them, but these were different. They didn't look like the first one I'd seen, and they were super, never aggressive, very friendly with me. They trusted me, and I trusted them. So, but you know, there's no way anybody will ever convince me there's anything about an ape like them except maybe all the hair covering them.
Yeah. Wow.
So, Darrell, just kind of change the subject, but Carl asked earlier, do you know anybody who does any Bigfooting around Louisiana?
I've got several close friends that do Bigfooting around Louisiana. What part of Louisiana is he in? I don't know what part he's in, but one of my closest friends that I talk to just about every day on his way to work, he calls me and we talk probably an hour. Is Scott Pace. He's one of the best there is out there, and probably #1 in the world when mind speaking with these creatures. And Scott is in the Bigfoot community. I don't know anybody in the Bigfoot community that is as much of a true Christian person and believer of Jesus Christ and lives it as much as Scott Pace does. So he's just a super good guy, would do anything in the world for anybody. And But Scott Pace, yeah, he knows a lot of people down there. He does a lot of researching. He's had Bigfoot actually come into his house. He's a super good guy. You know, him and his wife both. And if you ever get down that way, he'll cook you the biggest pot of gumbo you ever seen. He's always inviting me down, wanting to cook me something. So just super good guy. And there's another guy that lives close to him named David, and I cannot remember his name all of a sudden. David Vacquelin, I think is how you pronounce it. Super guy. He does some researching, and I know some other ones down that way, but those would be the two that I'd recommend. Scott Pace has got some places that blow your mind. He's got some really good hot spots where he goes, and he took one of his. To tell you what he did, he took one of his friends there last year deer hunting at one of his spots that he goes deer hunting at, and the guy was kind of making fun of Scott. He'd been making fun of him for a year or two about, well, there ain't no Bigfoot. What are you talking about? And Scott says, well, why don't you just come hunting with me this weekend, buddy, since you like to deer hunt? He took Scott's advice and his invitation. He went with him, and Scott kind of called one in right on him, and thing walked right up to this guy and scared this guy so bad that he's never been hunting again. And Scott told him, calm down, it's okay, he's not going to hurt you. But Scott Pace, look that guy up. He also has a Bigfoot group. I think it's Scratchy, Bigfoot, and Dogman or something. I don't know. Hit me up and I'll get you his information. He knows everybody around Louisiana. And like I said, you won't find a better human being alive than Scott Pace.
Carl says Lafayette area south of I-10.
Okay. Scott's a little distance from there, but he knows people in that area that he can probably hook you up to. If you hit me up on Messenger, or if you're in my group or whatever, hit me up and I'll be glad to hook you up with Scott, and he won't put you on somebody that's not real.
Joe and Pat's down there in Louisiana too.
Who's
They
that?
go out. Joe and Pat, Joe Parker and
Okay,
Blue
yeah,
Eyes.
Yeah, I forgot
they
about
down
Joe Parker. I hadn't heard that name in a while. Well, Mark's got a good one there too. So, yeah, I'm sure those guys can hook you up with somebody down in Louisiana. I personally have only been down there once, and I'm supposed to go back and spend a couple nights with Scott pretty soon and try to do a little researching with him. I've been planning on doing that the last year. It's just hard to find time.
Hey, Jeff, you want to reach out to Mike Santello?
Hold on,
Okay,
let
I
me.
was just going to do
My
that.
thing's frozen up.
Or yeah, whoever. Yeah. Okay. He's got some stories.
Anybody else? I'll quit talking for a while. Let somebody else talk.
Oh, please keep talking. Wow. You haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg yet, right?
Man.
I'm sitting here enjoying listening to Darrell. I ain't got to listen to him in a while.
Well, like I said, I'm kind of honored to be here. And
You've answered my question of what's your opinion of what they are, and that blows my mind. That you're
well, it took me.
Yeah.
You know, the ones on the river were completely different than the first. I've seen what I believe to be 3, maybe 4 different types of Bigfoot. That's what I believe I've seen over the last 32 years. And I spent 10 nights in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia by myself, and I'll never do that again. But I got lost in there for 2 days, and you don't want to get lost in there. But I think probably the ones on the river were, if I had an opportunity to find a family, I'm really not into Bigfoot like I once was. I'm more into Dogman now with my team. That's what we mainly research for and try to understand. But I enjoy Bigfoot when it comes to a family like I had on the river, and you know, they were really my friends. And I know that may sound crazy to some folks, but they truly were. And they would look forward to seeing me. I was there every day or every other day. I never went past 2 days, and that went on for almost 4 years. I was in there with them. And I would stay 2 or 3 hours with them. I'd take them food, gifts. They'd make me gifts. They would sit and stare at me, and I'd stare at them, and we tried to figure out things, and I asked them a lot of questions, and they didn't always say anything, but I tried real hard to communicate with them and tried to learn from them. And I'd still be learning from them if something hadn't happened to them. I don't know what happened to them, but I got a good idea what I think happened to them, but I hope it didn't. But I know they were reached out to me if they were still here on this planet, I believe, but I don't think they are. But these creatures they have families just like we do. And when you go into their home, that's just like one of them walking into your front door and sitting down on your couch. The woods belong to them. My people call them the Chayitanka. And Chayitanka stands for the large elder or keeper of the forest. And that's what they are. They're not all, like I said, they're not all good, but we're not all good either. But I do think you get what you give to them. They know your identity of what your true meanings are by being there. They don't like bright colors. If you ever want to research one, they don't like orange, they don't like red, and they don't like plaid. So those colors they don't like. I always changed into my same clothes every time I went into the woods. I would stop and take whatever I had off and put my same clothes back on because they identify you with that way. And I learned that, and they like you to take your shoes off. And of course, you don't want to do that in the wintertime. Might be a little cold, but I did. And learned a whole lot from them. And I got 2 words out of them over that long time, besides bye and a few whoops and whistle blowing and that type of stuff. When I bought them a bag of whistles one time, hung them on the limbs and 10 little plastic whistles, I found out really how intelligent they were because every time I'd come in about a 200-yard walk from the treatment plant, I had to park my car at and walk down that game trail. They'd start blowing that whistle because I'd go in and say, "Hey, I'm here to visit you," and they'd start blowing them whistles. I'd hear one across the river, one straight ahead, one to the far left. They were excited to see me, and I was kind of excited to see them. I camped out in there 30 foot from them in my sleeping bag at night many a time. So they trusted me, and I trusted them. So, it was I took one of my buddies in there. It's kind of funny. He kept saying, "Man, I don't know about these creatures. You really got these creatures on the river?" And I said, "Do you think I would lie to you about something like that?" He goes, "No, I don't think that." But it just didn't quite sink into him that I really had these creatures I was visiting. And I didn't tell everybody, but I trusted him. And I took him in there one morning, and he said, what I sat on was a 5-gallon bucket. I'd sit next to a tree where I'd first seen them when I was fishing. That's how I run into them. They stole my minnow bucket for 2 weeks. So I thought it was people. But he went in there and sat down. I said, "Now be real quiet. It takes a little while for them to come out because they're going to see you. They don't know you. They know me. They'd already be out here." But he seen one of those creatures, and I thought he was really going to have a heart attack. He jumped up and says, "What is that?" I said, "That's one of the forest people I told you about." And then there was another one. Then there was another one. He goes, I looked at him, and he turned white as a ghost, and he had run all the way back to the truck as fast as he could get and locked himself in the truck. So they're not for everybody.
Wow. That's cool stuff.
But they can communicate, and they do know your language. Like I said, I never told you. I got 2 words out of these creatures. For 3 years, there was 3 that I seen regular. One was a female, the first one I ever seen. When I first started going in there, she was about 5.5 foot tall. She was a younger female. She was the most friendly one and all. She was the one I was the most close to. The next one was about the same size as her. He was a male. I think that was her brother. And then the one behind that one, the third one, he was about 7 foot tall. He was a big boy, and he was still growing. And he and I became pretty good friends. But I asked them many times. I would go in, and after we talked for a while, I'd be communicating with them. They wouldn't say anything. They would look at me or make a head gesture or pass a stick or something like that, or leave me some kind of gift. over in the gifting box I had. I made a little wooden box and put it between two forks in the tree that I was sitting against. And anyway, when I'd take them their favorite food, I would always ask them. One morning I took them their favorite bread food, which is jelly-filled donuts. They love them. And I walked in and handed them they don't like it on the ground. They want it on a plate. They're just like us. They don't want you to throw their food on the ground and get it all dirty. So kind of passed it over a little bit, and they'd come out of the bush right there and grab it and eat it up. And that morning I said, man, my name is Darrell. Please tell me y'all's name. I've been coming in here for 2 or 3 years now, and y'all trust me, so at least tell me your name. I'm looking down at the ground, and I hear, Aleatha. I said, what? Your name is Aleatha? Then I said, what's your name? The one behind her, and he didn't say a word, didn't say nothing. I asked him 3 or 4 times. I said, y'all can speak English. And she went, I said, your name is Aleatha. Am I saying it right? Aleatha. And about that time, the third one behind her, the 7-foot, goes, Tobias. I said, your name is Tobias. And I was just smiling, laughing. I said, you can speak English. It's the only 2 words I ever got out of them. Besides bye and whoop and that type of stuff. But I don't know why, but it's just the way it was. But
Wow.
they have names, and Aleatha and Tobias was those two's name. So,
Yep, sure blows the ape theory out of the water, huh?
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah, completely. Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
But you know, I had a real long run with those, and a lot of people, even my lady here, she likes to hear me talk about them, and I've showed her some special things they left me, and they made me the coolest gift. They made me of course, we're on the river, and it was an old cardboard half-gallon milk carton. It was red and white originally, but the water had faded it out in the sun, being somewhere on the river where they'd found it. And they made me this milk carton. One they took this milk carton and set it right at the spot where I sat at when I come in to see them every day or so. They made me all kinds of gifts, but they had stuck sticks through all 4 sides of this milk carton, and where they come out, they formed an X. Each spot they come out, they formed an X where they came out, and they had a little vine wrapped around all 4 of those spots, which was just super cool because that was their symbol, the X. That's what the group symbol they had was the X. And they would have X's laid on the trail, and they would have huge X's in the woods, and they would break the trees at the bottom. I mean, trees, you know, big around. They'd break them and form a big X. But that was their marker. And since then, I've only run into one other family, and I didn't get a chance to ever communicate with them or find them much. They didn't seem to be as friendly as this bunch. But I've found them. When I go in the woods, anytime that I am out looking for a new spot, or if I feel like in the mood where I'd like to do that again, I always look for the X's, and you're always going to find them around a waterway. It's always going to be close to a waterway. And it's always going to be where game trails crisscross, and a large number of them. And where that crisscross takes place, there's going to be a tall pile of logs or brush right where all those game trails crisscross. And that's going to be their ambush point where they ambush the deer. And if you find that, you're going to find some tree breaks close by, and that's going to be their marked territory. That's where they're going to be. So, but you better have the good intentions when you go in there. Because if they don't like you, they're going to let you know real quick. And
you can't go in anywhere with bad intentions.
You can't do what now?
You can't go in anywhere with bad intentions.
Oh, no doubt at all. I agree with that.
Even when I go in the woods hunting, I just act like I'm there to look at something.
You know, the best way to do that is to go in and be normal. Just go in and be normal.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you ever want to have an encounter type with one of them, or, you know, the thing about it is people think they want to, that a lot of people that contact me, I don't mean this rudely, that like they're going to a zoo. Yeah, they want to run in and look at one, check it out, and leave. Well, it just don't quite work that way with these creatures. I mean, they're not an open range for viewing. You know, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, the right reason to be there. Just a whole lot of stuff that goes into that, and it's a lot of hard work too. It's not something you just go out and okay, I've located a family. I'm gonna come back and see you in a couple months. Just hang around. I mean, it's a lot of work. You got to go in there if you want to learn from these creatures and have them halfway trust you. You've got to go in there on a regular basis. You're a part of their family. They've accepted you. It's not an
I've never,
occasional drop
seen
by
that.
and leave one an apple. You know, it's not one of those things.
Right.
What happened to me was I worked on a deer stand and I pissed one off.
Well, that can happen. That can happen.
I didn't see him, but I got the earth-shattering roar at 40 yards.
That would definitely. You may have to go home and change your underwear after that one.
Almost.
Yeah.
But I've had a few things. I've had them mimic stuff. Craziest thing I ever heard was in a hammock this year. I had one snoring. It was mimicking my buddy snoring next to me.
You know, I get so tickled when I hear, you know, I just think the world. I mean, I really do. I think so much of Larry Porch and Mark Newbill.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I just think the world of those guys, and I really do. And I've heard them tell so many stories about the same thing you just mentioned.
Yeah.
If they can't get a chuckle out of you, nobody can.
Well, it's funny because I'm sitting there like smiling in the hammock while I'm listening to this going, am I really hearing this right now? And I'm one of those crazy people. I'll stick my head out and look to see what it is. That's
Well, the good thing about it, if you got one like that, you know he's a friendly one.
And they left a cross there the next morning. I found a trackway, and I've got that in the Jerry put that in the outro, but that same place in Western Maryland, I found it. Same weekend we were turkey hunting. I've heard them do some weird shit. I've never seen one, but I have heard them do some weird stuff.
I think the weirdest thing that's happened to me with one was the ones that I was talking about on the river. They left me a gift one morning, and they left me a lot of gifts. And some of the gifts were, I mean, you have to take them because you don't want them to think you don't appreciate them doing it. I don't know how many fish they brought me. They'd be dead, of course, and you've got to take them with you. Of course, I don't take them and eat them because they've been laying out for a day. But they brought me it looked like a little tin soldier that, like you see it, you know, Christmas time, one of the little tin soldiers you set out. I don't know where in the world I got it at, but it was a gift left in my box. Apparently they go around other places and pick up things. Probably somebody's house at Christmas time they got that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like the ones on the hunting club. When me and Keith were feeding them, they started leaving stuff for us. You know, be pile of nuts,
Oh yeah,
flowers, rocks, little weaves and stuff. Yeah, I mean they'd leave all kind of stuff. You know, and
that's a good sign. That means that they trust you and they're trying to befriend you. That's a real good sign. It really is. But
hey, Mark, tell them what you heard last night leaving the National Forest with Terry.
yeah, me and Mr. Terry went out there hunting yesterday evening, and it was right at dark, and me and him were sitting there talking before we got in the trucks to leave, and all of a sudden we heard what we thought was a siren going off, and we was looking for, you know, like game warden whooping up or something, you know, because it sounded just like a siren, and me and him kept looking at each other and kept waiting for, you know, like a game warden to come around the corner. Well, nobody never showed up. We never did. Huh?
Or an ambulance.
Or ambulance. We kept standing there. Well, we finally got in the trucks. I got turned around, and we went maybe about 100 yards. And Mr. Terry was behind me in his truck. and I had the window down, and I got there to a certain spot, and all of a sudden it's just roar at me. And even sister was in the truck, and she went to barking. She started barking, and I said, I think that was a booger. And I said, that's the only thing it could have been. But that was the first time I've ever heard that type of noise happen. You know, the siren. I guess I've heard people talk about the siren sound, but I think me and him experienced that yesterday. And I'd had
That's
anything
amazing.
if I'd had a recorder sitting there going and caught that, you know.
Yeah.
But that just goes to tell you, you never know when they're going to pop up, you know. And,
Exactly.
you know.
Well, they have a way of that. They really do, and I think a lot of times they want you to hear things like that too. So their intention is to see your reaction.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of noises and around that family that I was so close to for almost 4 years, and even another one that Billy Howell and I were around all the time in Cheatham County, Tennessee, that we were around from 2018 to, well, they're still there. Billy's still going down there, but I haven't been down there in quite a while, but up to 2020, and that family was nowhere near the type family that I had on the river. They weren't nearly as friendly. I only seen a few of those, a juvenile and a female. I never did see the whole clan. Billy seen a lot of them, but I didn't. But those creatures are so diverse. It's very hard to understand them. You know, they're like I said. I think I've seen what I believe to be 3 or 4 different types in my lifetime so far, and the first one being a wood booger. Like I hope I never see another one of those. And the ones on the river look more like the Patterson Gimlin Patty type. They were more like that type, and that's what they favored. The picture I seen of Patty, and which I believe to be a type 3, is what a lot of the books have 10 different type of Bigfoot in them. I don't know how correct that is. Maybe 20 different type Bigfoot. Who knows? But what they list as number 3 look kind of like that type, and number 4 is real similar, but has the hairs a little straighter on top of the head. And I've seen some of those up around Scott Carpenter's area, looking a little more like human type in the face than the other Bigfoot I've seen. So has like stringy hair hanging down, so a little more human in the face. But I don't know how many different types there are. I don't think any of us know. Like I said, I'm no expert at anything at all, but I know what I've been around and what I've seen and experienced. But there may be 20 or 30 different kinds. I know for sure the ones out in Alaska are different because Ron Moorhead and I've had hours of conversations about those, and we were supposed to be in Alaska this year. We just didn't get to go due to some surgery he had to have, and myself too. But the ones up there are really different. Some of them are a lot bigger too up there, but I know Alexander Petikoff had done the documentary on Martin Groves and Island Small Town Monsters last year, and the one that came out this March or April of this year, he was telling me about how diverse Alaska is. So that area up there has some humongous size Bigfoot. Fred Roll, if you know Fred Roll, wow, that guy's incredible. He lives up there in Alaska, and he's a tribal elder of his village and a true native up there. And some of the ones he's seen, just massive creatures. I mean, hard to believe that there's 12, 13, 14-foot thing that, 15, 1,700 pounds walking around in the woods. But
I got his number. I need to call him and see if I can get him to come on.
Boy, Fred Roll's something else. He really is. I enjoy listening to him and talking to him, and he's in our group, and just
I know a lot of people like Fred.
Oh, just a book of knowledge. I don't think there's any more book of knowledge in this world than Ron Moorhead. I mean, if you want to figure out what Bigfoot's capable of, just read Quantum Bigfoot by Ron Moorhead. Ron and I have been friends a long time, super, super good friends now, even more than we've ever been. And I talk to him just about every day. And Quantum Bigfoot is probably the most learning experience book that I've read. I'm not a huge reader. I'm one of those kind of readers that reads a little bit and puts it down, reads a little bit and puts it down. I'm not one that just reads straight through the book like some people are, but I've read Quantum Bigfoot 4 times. Every time I read it, I learn something different. So Ron has such a tremendous amount of knowledge about these creatures and what they're capable of doing. And, you know, these creatures have such a higher energy than we have. It's amazing what their abilities are. I'm not sure they don't live in a different dimension at certain times, but you know, I never seen one cloak or go interdimensional. I was around those on the river for a long time, and I never seen any of them do that. But I know they can. I don't know if all of them can, but I know there's certain ones that can or able to. The ones I was in Cheatham County around from 2018 all the way into the summer of 2020 that I was down there pretty regular. There's no doubt what was going on down there. That was a different type of Bigfoot. And, you know, the orbs came in that night, and those massive orbs come in the week before. They're about the size of beach balls. And they were red, pink, and orange pulsating inside, hovering about 2 foot off the ground. And everybody scared me to death. I just had what looked like a light bulb walking down through the woods for maybe 100 yards right toward me. This thing coming across the ground. I thought, what is that? And this thing looked like a light bulb. And it was coming right to me. I pulled out my 45, pulled the trigger back. I was about to shoot it. I didn't know what it was. And Billy, my partner, hits a big spotlight and came on in the woods. And this thing turned into an opossum. Opened his mouth, it hissed at me and turned around and went the other direction. Then about 10 minutes later, those massive orbs came down. And shortly after that, a week later, after those things zapped me and Billy and made us both sick and made our alarms go off and all our electronics stopped, which when they attacked my farm, I didn't go down there. I told them I wasn't going back down there for a while. I was away from there a couple of weeks. I was kind of weirded out by all these orbs. We hadn't had any orb problems, but those orbs, I definitely believe they can transfer into that. I think they can raise their higher energy and vibration into somehow, some way of turning themselves into a movable object like that orb. So I've actually got a picture of a very close friend of mine in Lebanon, Tennessee, close friend of mine in my group, and Beth Collinsworth, one of our admin, that what an experiencer she is. Her and Jennifer Appleton blow your mind. You want to have somebody on your show? Yeah, get Jennifer Appleton or Beth Collinsworth on. So she's got an orb that's been around her house for 3 or 4 years, and it stays around her house every night. It's about the size of a basketball. It just floats around her house at night and it stays there. Even a couple of pictures, she took pictures of it. You can see a Bigfoot face inside the orb.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely believe they have a higher energy or vibration. Ron believes that 100%. That's what his book's about, how they do this, and they transform themselves into that somehow. I don't know how they go interdimensional, but it's pretty amazing. Maybe they're in a different dimension than we're in. I don't have a clue, but I do believe it's possible, and I believe it happens. So, but anyway, I know I'm just rambling here, and I apologize.
Oh, no. Good information. Sean Collins, who we had on a few weeks back, the one that had the 3 Dogman encounters here, asked, what's your take on people seeing Sasquatch or Dogman coming out of portals or UFOs? It's an interesting question.
Well, I've never seen one. Let me rephrase that. I've never seen a UFO in my life that I'm aware of. Now I've seen stuff going across the sky that I didn't know what it was, but that don't mean that it was something I didn't know what it was, and maybe it was some type of aircraft. I don't know. I've never seen an alien, and I hope I don't. But I do believe Jennifer Appleton her and Robin Haynes are 2 other close friends of mine, and you probably know Jennifer or Robin Haynes. Both of those. Robin Haynes is working on the DNA study right now for Dogman. Her and Melba Kitchen are currently doing it right now. They're both very good friends of mine. But Jennifer's had so many experiences. They almost did the Genome Project at her house in Tennessee because she had so many Bigfoot at her house. But she actually has been abducted several times in her lifetime. And one of the times when she was abducted by UFO or alien, I was on the phone with her one night. She called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and her hand was shaking, and all I seen was lights after that. And I didn't hear from her till the next day. She was abducted, and her husband Bob was terrified. He couldn't even move. They paralyzed him somehow. But she said she was on a spaceship when she was abducted and seen a Bigfoot on the spaceship. So I don't know. I've never been abducted. I've never seen a spaceship.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I'll say this much. I believe what Jennifer, she told me it was snowing in July. I believe her. So she's just that kind of credible person. But that question for me about the, what was the other part he mentioned about the Dogman? What was the other part? Dogman.
Portal. Coming out of a portal.
100% believe that. 100% believe that. And I'll tell you why. The documentary that we done for Small Town Monsters that came out this year, Martin Groves and I and Joe and Jesse of Hellbent Holler and Elijah Henderson and Mike Smith and even Mark Newbill was on there with us for a little bit. But the Dogman we seen at LBL in October of 2022, we had been up there 3 days and 3 nights, Martin Groves and I had. We went up there basically because it was the 29th year of, it wasn't the exact day, but the 29th year of his anniversary of his Dogman attack in the LBL in a certain place that, as far as I know, that I'm the only one that's ever been to. I think Joe and Jesse was up there a week or so ago. Joe and Jesse Doyle of Hellbent Holler, maybe it was a little longer than that, because they're very close to Martin and I too. But we were up on the way to that spot where he had been attacked in 1993, and we turned this. If you've ever been to the LBL, I know Mark's been there. You guys may have been there too. I don't know, but it's just, miles. I'm talking about the north end of the park off the trace. There's roads everywhere, to the left, to the right. I mean, they're just everywhere. And they're gravel roads, dirt roads. If you don't know where you're at back in there, you will get lost. I promise you will get lost.
Yeah, that's a place I want to go. I haven't been there yet.
Well, we got some spots that we go there, and and of course, Mark Maychuk says we're crazy because he knows the LBL really, really well, and he said he'd never go to where we go but anyway, we're not anything special. We're just there for a reason, and I'll let Martin tell you one day the reason. But anyway, we go in there, and this particular spot that Martin and we had just stopped to eat. It's 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and we'd been out all day, and we were kind of tired. We stopped in the middle of nowhere, just lowered the tailgate on his truck, and we were sitting out in the dark, just having a snack and talking, just doing regular thing on one of these way back in the back roads areas on the old dirt road. And that was as good a place as any to stop and eat, so we did. And as soon as we got through, we turned this little sharp curve down this dirt road. You can't go fast. I mean, you're doing 1 or 2 miles, just enough for your truck to move, because
Uh-oh.
He's back. Hold on. There he goes.
But you'll lose. You've got to be careful in that area. I'm going real slow through there. It's the only way you can travel on that dirt road. But anyway, we turned this little, doing 1 or 2 mile an hour, and I got my window down. Martin's got his window down. I'm sitting on the passenger side, and we're on this old dirt road back in one of these middle of nowhere areas in LBL. And I look to my right, and there's this blue mist, huge blue mist, like a big coming it just looks strange to the right of me. It's in this creek bed next to this culvert. And it's 5 or 7 feet from me. Then it turns into a silver Dogman. I'm talking about the entire body was silver gray. It had light on the tips of its fur. Its eyes were real deep and perfectly round, symmetrical, shiny, clear, white eyes. It had a massive head about half the size of our truck windshield, and it had mane around its neck like a line. and it was just looking right at me like it was going to jump in the truck and get me. And I looked at Martin, and about that time he looked over and said, "I see it, Bubba. I see it, Bubba." I said, "We got to get out of here, man. This thing don't look happy." And about that time, it zapped me. It zapped Martin. Didn't get me nearly as bad as it did him. My upper chest was hurting. I had a headache, and my legs were a little numb. Martin couldn't breathe. His neck swelled together. His throat and his tongue swelled up. I thought he was going to pass out right in the truck. And the entire inside of the truck smelled so bad that you couldn't hardly breathe. And we're just barely going, and he's over there coughing and gagging, trying to breathe. And I said, "Well, let me here, get over and let me drive us out of here. Let me get us out of here." And he couldn't even speak. I thought he was going to pass out right there. And he said, "I can't breathe, can't breathe." And I was trying my best to do something to help him. And this Dogman just gets up and looks right at me, walks right down that side of the truck, goes behind the truck, goes right by Martin's side of the truck, and it stops and looks back at us. And it's going through this field, and it's all lit up. This creature's real, but at the same time, it's interdimensional. You can see through it. I mean, transparent, not interdimensional. You can see the creature, the whole creature, the form of it walking. It's a dogman type creature. It looked like a large lion with a dog head on it, with mane. And but you could see through it. It was transparent, but it was still walking, and it went up the side of this hill, and it was just crashing, breaking branches and everything going up through there. And by this time, I was probably pretty panicked. I said, "Man, I was afraid Martin was going to die right there in the truck." And finally I got him over. We stopped, and I was a little leery to stop right in there because we're in the middle of nowhere. It's pitch black in there. There's nothing lit up but our flashlight. We've got these huge spotlight flashlights, and of course the lights from the truck. But I finally got him out of there and got him 3 miles down the road to a rest stop area where it had a public restroom inside the park, and it had lights around it. And got him out of the truck and got him some water and got him moving around a little bit. But he still wasn't right, and we went home later on that morning. It was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess, when we left. We headed toward his house, but he was sick for a week. But this thing, when it hit him the way it did, I don't believe it's infrasound. I mean, people can call it whatever they want. I've been zapped 3 times, twice by Bigfoot and once by a Dogman, and that zapping is so much different than the Bigfoot type, and it just makes you sick, and you just feel terrible for a while. And some people it affects them differently. We've done a lot of studying on this, and I don't believe by any means it's anything to do with infrasound. I mean, none of us know exactly what it is, but I do know one thing, that I believe it's some type of radioactivity that these creatures are available somehow producing, or something similar to it. And Ron Moorhead and I have discussed this, and Martin Nunley and I have, Martin Groves, and Joe and Jesse of Hellbent Holler, Joe and Jesse Dole too. They've even started carrying a Geiger counter with them. And actually last year, the Dogman track they found, the Geiger counter picked up a reading in it. So that means it had some type of radioactivity in that creature. So I believe it's some type of radioactivity, how these things zap you or whatever they do to you. I 100% believe, and I haven't told this to too many people, and God bless Scott Carpenter and his family. I would never say anything disrespectful toward that wonderful man. I miss him and think the world of him, and always will. But, Scott was zapped so many times by these creatures in those mountains. He put that camera on the back of his, that GoPro on the back of his backpack, and filmed what was behind him. And I don't know how many times Scott was zapped, but it was a lot of times he was zapped. And, and we all know that Scott passed away from some type of brain aneurysm. And I, to this day, don't 100% believe that all the zappings may not have caused that to take Scott's life. So, because it's rough when you get zapped by one of these things. It takes a while to get over it. So anyway, I don't know. I know I got off track there a little bit, but that's my
You're not off track. It's all information, man. Stuff we need to know.
Yeah, I've
Break
seen
out.
several people get something hit them. You know, people get nauseated and
Oh yeah.
throwing up, headaches, and I've never had that happen to me. And I'm very proud it hasn't. But I did witness not the portal. There was 2 people, well, 4 people in a field. 3 of them seen the portal. The other one didn't because he was looking the other way. Those 3 came out real sick, throwing up, nauseated. But what's strange about it is a few years later, all 3 of them come up with stomach cancer. Now,
Yep.
somebody might say, "Well, that's BS," but
Mark,
and they were all from different states too. That's the other
you're
thing.
not the first person that's brought that up.
Right.
That's actually been talked about for quite a few years between me and some other people privately. And some of the same things. Matter of fact, Michael Patterson's 3 friends that were with him back in the day, not Mike Patterson from Canada, but Michael Patterson from West Virginia. 2 different people. But Michael Patterson and I have been friends a long time and still are. And, you know, he had 3 friends that they had a white Bigfoot chase them from down a hillside when he was 19, 20 years old. They were out in a Toyota pickup fishing at a pond. There was 3 males and 1 female, him being one of the males driving his truck. And this thing chased them all the way down the road. They never got away from it. They're lucky they did. They threw a welding machine out of the back of the truck. It's the only thing that stopped them from this thing getting in the truck. They picked it up and threw it out on top of this creature as it was chasing them down the highway. And that slowed it down enough for them to get away. And although all 3 of those people that were with him, including the girl, I believe I'm correct on this. I could be wrong, but I believe he told me all 3 of those people had died from mysterious things happening to them. Pretty similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah. This was what was strange is that they were from 3 different states.
Wow.
So we were having a small outing, and I stayed out in the road with a lady she didn't want to get out of the truck. And I wasn't going to leave her sitting in the truck by herself. So I stayed out in the road with her. And the 4th guy, which was Pat Rance, was looking the other way with his thermal. He never got sick or nothing. So, you know, it's kind of strange that he's standing there with them. He's never had no issues, but those 3 that seen the portal open up and watched what looked like a figure try to come stepping out, and then, you know, it stopped and it backed up and the portal just shut.
Yeah. That's pretty much what, you know, Scott Carpenter had I don't know if you've seen the portal he had on the trail. It's an incredible picture. He sent me the picture, I think the day after, or it might have been the day that he took it, but it's been posted on Facebook. It's in our group, I know that, but I've posted it a couple times. He had 2 pictures. That actual picture he had actually showed some creature coming out of the portal to the right of the portal.
Right.
And it looked like a Dogman is what it looked like. And Jennifer Appleton actually had one in Tennessee during a storm at her house that you could actually see the Bigfoot stepping out of the portal.
Yeah.
And I've seen 2 portals that were really high quality, like I'm talking about. But yeah, I believe in portals. I'm not sure that I've seen a portal, but I think what I seen from that Dogman and the LBL and back with Martin Groves that night, it came from some type of portal, I believe, because it went from a mist to a creature. So it was very strange. It was actually to this day, it's the strangest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that. I'm not sure if it was flesh and blood and some kind of paranormal thing at the same time. I don't know what it was, but I know it was a Dogman. It was a dog head on it anyway. So, but very strange, and I don't think I'll probably ever see anything like that again. But it was definitely something you don't forget.
Yeah, that's crazy. What about what is your opinion of people being marked to Bigfoot and they are attracted to certain people?
Oh, 100% believe that. I believe I am. I have no doubt. I know I am. No doubt. I know some people that, I know other people that are like that. I feel not a lot, but a few. I know that I am, and I don't know why I am. I don't know how I got that way. I don't know what made me be different than anybody else. I didn't choose it, but it's, yeah, it's something about that. You know, I've heard people say it has a lot to do with some people that think that maybe some Native American blood in you might bring you that out. I've heard people say your blood type. Nobody knows why you are, I don't really think. And some of those could be true. I'm not saying either one of those aren't or other ones, but I don't know why it is. I really don't. You know, I can't ever remember a time in my lifetime growing up. All I ever wanted to do was play pro baseball, and I didn't ever even think about a Bigfoot. So, you know, when I was hunting, I never thought about seeing a Bigfoot. But when I did, it changed my life forever, and it's still on the same path as it was since November 6, 92. So, you know, I'm not exactly looking out researching like I did for so many years, but I'm with Bigfoot, but I'm still not as active as I was, but I'm still researching quite a bit with whatever's out there, you know. But mainly Dogman is what I would like to be more educated on, because I think their tendencies are a little dangerous. I don't say that I trust any of them.
I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything in chat.
Yeah, I think they mark you too. I think they want you. Something happens, they got you. They got your number. They know where you at. And I believe when you go to other places, they know who you are.
100%.
That's how I feel, Mark.
You know, you brought up a real strong point there, Mark, because when I was, you know, the family on the river that I was so close to for that 3 or 4 years, I don't know if y'all know, because I've told my story on so many podcasts and radio shows over the years about my river friends. And, you know, Michael Patterson called me up back in probably about 2017 or so, and he said, "Hey, man, have you heard of this guy named Matthew Johnson?" I said, "No, I never heard of him." He said, "He's a psychiatrist from Washington. Have you heard of him?" And I said, "I ain't never heard of him." And he said, "You got to go listen to his tapes." I said, "Tapes?" And he said, "Yeah, he's got 4 of them. It's called The Great Reveal 1, Great Reveal 2, 3, and 4. And I said, "Well, I guess." He goes, "The reason why I'm telling you that, you need to listen to this guy, because he's had really similar, same experience you've had with these creatures that make the X's." And so I didn't really think much about it, but, you know, he actually pulled them up and sent them to me on my messenger. And I listened to one, and I thought, wow, this is real similar. And then I got down to 2, and then I got down to 3. And, you know, when I first listened to this guy, I thought, you know, this guy, if I didn't know, you know, a lot of people would think this guy's crazy, but it's so similar to what happened to me in this way. And, you know, I never heard of this guy, and I think a lot of Dr. J is what I call him, Dr. Matthew Johnson. He actually calls these creatures the Xanu,
Yep.
Xanue, and he and I become close friends. And I think a lot of Ron Moorhead and Carrie, Ron's lady, I've been out to his place and stayed a week, 10 days, and he takes people out in the woods, and these creatures come in and touch him. He's Bigfoot, and they even cured people from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've never been out there. I've been invited, but I just hadn't had a chance to get out there, and I will get out there sometime. He has a camp out in Washington State. He has one, I believe, in Arkansas also. I believe he has 2 of them. But anyway, after I heard his encounter, I was pretty blown away. I thought, well, a lot of that happened to me. Some of those similar things like that happened to me. Now, he's had a whole lot more things than I ever have. These creatures communicated with him a lot more than they did me. I got 2 words out of them besides bye and whoops and stuff like that. And he's talked conversations with them, but pretty amazing the stuff that he has had happen to him. And I think the guy's real credible. I know he's a super nice guy, but a lot of people really believe in him. I'd never heard of him. So I guess it was about 2016 or 17 when I first heard of it. If y'all had never heard of Dr. Matthew Johnson, go listen to The Great Reveal 1, 2, and 3.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I
A lot of
watched.
people.
He did some shows with Carrie Arnold.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
That's right.
he's had some fantastic experiences. A lot more educated than I am with these creatures over the things he knows about them. Because I never had that type of, apparently that type of ability he's had, because they communicate with him a lot better than they did me. So pretty impressive. Some people have listened to him and said, "Oh, that guy's crazy," but knowing what I've known, what I've been through, I know he ain't completely crazy, because I had some of the same things happen to me with the same type of creatures. So
He will make you. He will make you pay attention. He'll
he
make you.
definitely will, and he will not take criticism either. If you don't like his style and what he believes in, you might as well get out of the way, because he's coming through.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of us have been marked by these damn things, because I can't go backwoods camping without running into something.
Well, I think
And it don't matter where I go.
these. I don't know. I wish I was more educated about their abilities than I am, and I feel like I know a lot about their abilities, but I don't know everything, and I wish I did, or I wish I knew a lot more. But a big key to this is their way of how to read you, and believe me, they can read you. I don't know how they do it, but you can have a thought in your mind, and before you get it out, they've already figured out what you're about to do. So, it's pretty amazing how they have the ability to understand what's in your mind and what's in your heart. If you've got a bad heart, you're in there thinking, okay, I'm going to shoot one of these creatures. All I can tell you is, if you want to go in the woods and you're one of those people that I've heard mentioned, and you want to shoot one of these creatures, you better be pretty fast, because that rest of the clan, you're not going to get out very easily. I can assure you that. So they love their family just as much as you love yours.
I've had a couple incidents where, now I never go into the woods, with that mentality, but there's been times I've been hunting. One time was in West Virginia, and we were on a turkey hunt, and I am pretty damn sure it was not a Bigfoot. 100%, I'm leaning more towards the Dogman.
Well, I know that for a fact. They the thing about, I asked them so many questions over the years I spent time with them. They if you want to get their attention, if when you get to know them, you can ask them what Jesus Christ, if they believe in Jesus Christ, and you will not believe the reaction you get from them. They know who Jesus Christ is. They also know what a gun is, and they also know what a camera is, and they don't like any of them. They don't dislike Jesus Christ, but they don't like a gun or a camera, and they do not like bright colors. Those 3 things seem to upset them. And
yeah, I was heading into a bit of a choke point, going around a rock right below some laurels on a hill in Green Mountain, West Virginia. That place could kiss my ass. I ain't ever going back there again. That was one of the freakiest places I've ever hunted in, and I'm not going back there. This spot I walked into, you could you could feel something was off. And I couldn't even make myself walk any further to go into that around that rock. And I started backing up. I thumbed the safety off of my shotgun and I reached down and unsnapped my holster to my pistol. That
Well,
was how bad that felt.
I can tell you, like I said earlier in the show, not all these creatures are friendly. And and don't believe, the one thing I will never forget what Scott Carpenter told me. He goes, and I will never forget the words too. He said, "Don't ever think that some of these creatures don't have you on the menu." And some of these, not all these all these Bigfoot aren't what you call non-aggressive, and you get a couple of rogues that are that way, and that may be what happened to some of these missing people in the national parks. I don't know. I don't think it's all that. I never would think that at all. But I don't think all of them. I think some of them would hurt you, and I just think they would, and you got to be very careful. I don't ever tell anybody. I used to do it. I did it a lot, but I used to go in the woods by myself and stay 2 or 3 nights minimum, and sometimes longer, and it's not a smart thing to do. You need to take somebody with you. Always have a weapon and always have a personal beacon, especially if you're going into an area that you can't get reception with a cell phone. Because we go into the LBL, we can't get any reception. We can't get anything. If you get down there and get hurt or something, you can't call anybody.
I had an incident here at the farm a couple years ago, deer hunting. I felt like something was watching me. I think this might just have been a Bigfoot. I don't think it was a Dogman. But I said to it, I said, you're not messing with me tonight. And I told it straight up, we're not doing this. And I set the rifle up on the shooting rail, and that feeling went away.
Normally when you see a creature like that and you do show a gun, and I have done it a few times with Dogman, both times I had my gun out there where they could see it. I don't know if they did see it, but I had it out there. I don't trust them. I don't know enough about them to trust them. But, the one that we seen, that whatever it was that come out of that portal or whatever it come out of, then that Martin and I seen in October of 22, that thing could have killed us easily if it wanted to, but it didn't. Why it didn't, I don't know.
That thing, if it had decided to come out of hiding, it was going to find out what a 450 Bushmaster was.
Yeah. Well, we didn't, believe it or not, Martin and I didn't have a weapon that night with us. And you got to be very careful carrying weapons in the LBL, because if you get caught down there with one, you're in big time trouble.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've enjoyed this show, and I certainly appreciate you having me on, but I've got to get off here. I've got something else coming up. So,
okay.
Man, it means a lot. Appreciate you having me on here. I'm honored to be here, and it's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
And, hope you'll have me on again sometime, and I enjoy talking to everybody.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you very
Good
much.
to see you, Darrell.
Good stuff.
Good to see all of y'all, man. I appreciate it again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Darrell. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for having me. If you get a chance, download the link and put it in my group. Mark can put it in there for me, and David can too. Whoever, but put it in there, and I appreciate you having me on again. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darrell. You too.
Be blessed, brother.
See you later, Darrell.
All right, thank y'all a bunch.
Bye-bye. Always good to hear from him.
Yeah, man. I've heard stuff from him before, but I don't recall his river people stories. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on him. Man, wow.
That's when he first started. That's when he first seen Bigfoot. Well, second time, excuse me.
Second
First time was out on his grandfather's property. But,
It's incredible.
Well, Mark, since you're here, let's talk about Creepy Mountain.
Since you're here, of course he's here.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Come on, Jeff. Give me more
Hey,
credit.
I was enjoying hearing Darrell. I mean,
I've been
he's
I've been talking. I've been talking to Mark all week. We haven't even got halfway through a week yet.
yeah. Usually I'd be at work right now.
We don't get Mark on any channels during the week. It's
I've had to turn down a lot of them actually because of the way I work and
your hours are worse than dairy farming.
yeah. Well, after the first of the year, I'm going on 12-hour shifts, and I'll start work 2 days, off 2 days, that 3-2 shift. So I'll start having some nights off during the week.
Which one's that, David?
This one's Peanut.
That's Peanut.
Yeah, she's all shivering.
All of them want to be on camera, don't they?
They do. They're taking turns getting
I'm surprised sister ain't done been on here 2 or 3 times.
I'm surprised Gunner hadn't tried to jump up here, and Beretta's passed out. They're both in the other room. I don't know what they're doing. Sister not harassing you tonight?
Do I now?
Sister's not harassing you tonight?
No, she's been kind of standoffish a little bit tonight. I don't know if she's been laying over here beside me for a long time. Then when Rebecca got up, my stepdaughter come by, and that's what all the ruckus was about earlier. And my sister got tore up. She knew something was out there in the yard, so she was telling the news. That's why I put us on. I muted the mic for a minute because she was raising Cain till she figured out who was out there. Now, everything been a little, put that video out last week about, what was caught in the game camera, while I was there checking that game camera to make sure it was working right. And so I had that video, and of course was on with Spencer Sunday. We went through some of that and trying to explain to people, hey, we're not saying this is a Bigfoot. We're just saying this was strange. It was strange pictures, and of course there's a bunch of different ideas what was going on there, and I'm not saying any of them are wrong.
Yeah. But it's it's hard to overlook it.
Right. And the thing was that just ain't what was going on in that holler. We found a lot of tree bows, tree breaks, and I didn't even show half of them. We found them 2 big looking X marks that I think were made. They didn't fall that way, and then just the holler not having no wildlife moving in it, which is very strange. When I'm using a very good feed in my feeder, which is mixed with peanuts, soybeans, and corn. And like I tell everybody, when you open the bag, you want to eat it yourself. It smells so good. That's how good a smell it it is. And here at the house, the deer are out there every night eating it. They're just wearing it out. And I got coons and foxes and Canadian geese and crows. They all out there every day. And for this to be sitting in that holler that I've coon hunted in, I've deer hunted in, I've took a lot of deer out of there, I've treated a lot of coons in there, and the place is full of squirrels. For that camera not to be taking pictures, and you go check, there's corn all over the ground. There's something weird going on in there, and it's just strange. So that's what that video was about. It really wasn't just about the pictures. It was about the all of it coming together. There's some weird stuff happening in there.
Yeah, an area that is known for activity.
What?
Any kind of animal activity there, and not that's weird. Yeah.
yeah, it was. I'm gonna try to hunt up there tomorrow. I'm gonna go in that holler and hunt a while tomorrow, and for good Lord willing and everything. See you later. Bye bye. But that dog telling me bye. But just I'm gonna go in there for a little while tomorrow, and plan to go back up in there probably Friday, and see what's see if anything goes on. I'm gonna have the video camera and the mic with me, and if something goes on, I'll flip that camera on and start videoing, or have that mic going just to be in case something does happen. And so, but yeah, that was real. That was crazy yesterday with me and Mr. Terry, and of course that was the spot I went and done his. Love you too, Billy. Love you too, brother. We went back to where we done his video that day when he gave his encounter and sightings, and he for me and him to have that happen yesterday was just very odd. And I'm not saying that was a booger. I feel like it was, but I mean, me and I'll need to get him to talk about that. It was just strange that me and him standing there talking, getting ready to leave, and just all of a sudden, whoop! I mean, just like that. And we both look, and I'm like, I keep looking because I'm waiting for headlights or blue lights or something to come around that curve where we at, because I knew that's how close it was. And he's looking too, and we never see nothing. And I go like, what in the world, and we leave. And then, when I get up the road about 100 yards off to my left in the woods, I hear that, whoa, just like that. And sister goes to barking just right off the bat. When she hears it, she done that little squeal y'all heard a while ago. I mean, she just went to barking like, hey, and I told Mr. Terry, when we got out to the highway, he went one way, I went to the other, and I messaged him later. I said, I think that was a booger. He said, well, I was going to message you and tell you the same thing. So I think that's what we had happen right there. I think we got hollered at, or whatever you want to call it, right there. And that's the first time I have ever had that happen before. Of all the vocals I've heard, from the T-Rex to the screams to the roars to the whatever else sound, that's the first time I've ever had that sirens sound right there on top of me like it. And they were probably sitting there watching me and him talking. That's the only thing I could figure was happening. But that place does have sightings at that watershed. There's been 3 or 4 sightings there. There's been a good bit of stuff happening around that area in there. So that just put more icing on the cake right there yesterday. And, and I done a video out there. Me and Rebecca done a video out there. It's been a year and maybe 2 years ago. And across that lake, we heard some kind of god-awful racket one evening. And I even chambered the rifle. I didn't even have a bullet in the rifle, and I chambered the rifle that day because I ain't never heard nothing like it. And I still can't explain really what it sounded like. And, of course, a lot of people say, oh, you probably heard old whooping crane or something. I said, that wasn't no crane. I mean, I've heard cranes all my life and never heard nothing like it. So I don't know. I'm going to have to watch that area a little closer. Kind of like Hollins. Something's there. But this is a new spot, so that I know something's probably there. So I'm going to have to go over and start watching that area a little bit and start seeing what I may need to go over at night some and listen. Just pull up in that road and get out and see if I hear anything happening in that area, And it ain't far from Hollins. This may be through the woods from Hollins, from the Hollins Hunters Camp, maybe 4 or 5 miles through there. But it's over the mountain from that side. So, and everything.
Yeah, Alabama's.
It is a boogerish place.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Probably lots of bears there.
Do what now?
Oh my
Bears
lord.
is an inside joke.
Oh, bear.
Bears,
Bears.
bears and deers.
Yeah, it was pretty boogery over in Tennessee and Kentucky. I'd say that was pretty woolly, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice looking area. Totally different
that-
than here, but you can see they're there.
That LBL, that place has got a vibe to it.
Creepy. Creepy.
It's got a vibe.
I've never been,
I've been there twice, and both times I got vibes. Some places, Rebecca said it felt sad. She got a sad feeling from it in some places. In some places, she said it felt happy. And then other places, both of us was getting a vibe like, something's wrong in here. And some of those cemeteries we were visiting, because Rebecca loves cemeteries. And we went to a couple of them, and she got some real bad vibes from some of them cemeteries. And she said, felt like people were real sad here. And then she got some vibes that was like a need to get out of here vibe, and it's just that's a weird place. It's a place I want to go back and camp some more and learn some, I want to go look at it some more and check out some more of the places. And, get down some more further them dirt roads and stuff. And Lord, after I got to finding out, me and her rode through the heart of one of the places that's supposed to be real active. Me and her didn't even know that. Then I got to talking to some people, and their eyes got big. And they said, "How'd you know to go in that spot?" And I said, "I didn't. I said it looked like that's where boogers would be." I said it looked like where I'm from. That part of Alabama. And I said, that's why I went in there. And they said, "Well, you went right in on the top of a bunch of them." And I believe they were there, there's no doubt. So
I don't understand what it is about Alabama.
well, I got a lot of theories on that, but I think Georgia and Mississippi and Tennessee is the same way, and Florida and all the other southern states too. But
definitely Mississippi and Tennessee.
Alabama has a big water system, a drainage system that drains a lot of water out of Georgia, Mississippi, and they all pile in Alabama, and they go out of the Alabama into the Mobile Bay, out of the, so you got 3 rivers coming out of Georgia, and then you got rivers all in the middle of Alabama, like Smith Lake, and then you got Tom Bigby over here in Mississippi coming in. So you got a bunch of waterways draining right down into the Mobile Bay area. And there's a big delta down there called the Mobile Tensal Delta. It's a real big, huge delta. It's one of the biggest. It's not the biggest, but it's one of the bigger ones in the U.S. Part of the Appalachians end in Alabama. They come in Alabama and they make like a 5, looks like 5 fingers. If you go look at the map, the way they spread out, part of it goes toward Huntsville, right up under the Tennessee River.
Yeah.
Part of it comes down into what we call Blount County, Coleman County, and Walker and Winston, and goes over toward Mississippi. Then you have another line that comes toward Birmingham, and then another line that comes a little east of Birmingham. Then the one that comes right here where I live at, which is part of the Lookout Mountain, what it is. If you go look and follow that back up, you'll see that we're tied in with part of the Lookout Mountain part of it. And so I think it's just a big funnel. there's plenty of wildlife here. I mean, we got the third biggest population of whitetail in the United States. I think Alabama does. I think us and Mississippi are tied. And Texas, of course, is bigger on whitetail.
You guys got a lot of deer.
Yeah. So a lot of fur bearing animals. I mean, from coons to possums to everything you think of, and a lot of farming still here, a lot of cattle, not as big as we used to be. Tons of chicken houses. Lord have mercy, there's chicken houses everywhere.
We got them. Yeah.
And I think if you pay attention to chicken houses, you're gonna have boogers around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Towell's one that told me to start watching that. He said, "Watch your chicken houses."
I remember the stories he told about chicken houses.
Yeah, he said, "Pay attention around chicken houses." And
well, that
a
is
lot of
first
people
encounter, wasn't it, Mark?
do what now?
One of his first encounters was a chicken house, wasn't it?
That's why I got him started.
That was
Was
what
a
got it started, was the chicken house incident. I remember that one.
He'd been hunting up in the Ozarks with some of his buddies, and they'd heard all kind of crazy sounds, and that got him kind of interested.
Yeah, but it was his first encounter at that call, wasn't it?
Yeah, he heard some calls,
but
and
then
he
he
really-
went to that call for the chicken house thief.
right? And that's when
was
it got
when they ended
stirred
up seeing the booger go out the back of the chicken house, knocked over the deputy that was with him.
Right. So, and that got him.
Didn't he sneak in there and turn a light on in the chicken house or something?
Yeah, the farmer told him
Yeah.
that when you open the door, the light switch was right there inside the door, and so that's what got all that going. And
Hillary, that's Southern Bigfoot Files.
yeah, Southern Bigfoot Files,
That's how
Alabama.
Bronco.
And yes, I live right on the 33rd parallel. It comes right through right here where I live at. Right through the middle of Sylacauga. The 33rd parallel comes right through here. Yeah. And yes, there's a lot of reports of orbs, UFOs, Bigfoot. Starting to hear a little more and more about Dogman. Got some people around here that have seen them. So yeah, and I live in an area with a large concentration of marble, one of the biggest deposits in the world, some of the widest marble in the world. It's even wider than the marble over in Italy and stuff. I think it's 92, 93% pure. And one reason I know that because I used to work in them marble quarries, and large concentration of quartz. A lot of people don't know about this part of Alabama. It used to be a lot of gold here. Well, it still is gold here. There's a big percentage of gold here, but it's very expensive to mine it here because it's so deep. Now, they still do a lot of gold panning. And in fact, we have a place here in Alabama that you can go pay about $10 and camp out at their camp. And they got dredges and everything. And at the end of the day, all the gold that they gather, they split it amongst everybody. It's pretty cool. So if you ever want to come vacation in Alabama, look up the Alabama Gold Camp. It's real cool. And there's boogers there. so you might hear something in there. There's been booger reports from that place. And so that's, there's a lot of stuff, playing in on that. And there's just a lot of strange things here. A lot of strange things.
I tell you, your corn picks were probably some of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, those
makes
those
me
were
not
crazy.
plant corn anywhere I got, but I got to do that for a living. So unfortunately, I got hundreds of acres of corn I got to walk past. Now every
Well-
time I'm walking past the corn, I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear a lot of reports of Bigfoot and stuff around cornfields, though.
Yep.
I've heard of a lot of reports around, seeing them around, and you think it's a good way for them to move through stuff, and they may be in there eating the corn too, and they could be in there waiting on the deer and other animals to come in there to get corn, especially during the roasting ear stage when it's still soft and still got cream in it. And they could be utilizing that as cover and a place to catch food. And yeah, that's right, Greg. Wendell is a prospector. Yeah, I think he's a member of that Alabama Gold Camp too.
I was on a late night phone call with Wendell last night.
Oh, was he? That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You told me that this morning.
I was getting ready to get off, and then Barry got on. And it was me, Barry, Wendell. It was a full house. Greg, I don't know what Greg was doing. He doing something.
I like that oven there behind you, Peter there behind you, David.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I had to come down. I was cold upstairs.
Had to move his computer.
Yep. Yeah, I love wood heat.
But yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff in Alabama, and there's reports from every county in Alabama. Even though the BFRO only shows like half the counties having sightings, every county in this state's got sightings from it. I mean, I worked some boogers right off the Cahaba River in a place called Liberty Park, right outside of Birmingham. I mean, we were 5 miles from downtown Birmingham where we were at, this big subdivision, and it was rich people, because I mean these were $1 million homes, and the Cahaba River come right by their house. And the Cahaba River up in there is not a real big river. It's not real wide. It's just real rocky and a deep ravine. Real beautiful river. But these boogers were coming up there around their houses at night. And she had contacted Mr. Tao or Mike Mullane. She went through his website, and then she talked to Mr. Tao, and then she called. He told her to call me because, I lived 40 miles from her. And we went up there, and sure enough, me and Keith both heard the whistles, whoops. I think I got a glimpse of one. But they were coming up in there at night around their houses, and they had done killed a dog. Some of the people had seen them, and that's coming up there, kind of done got them people up in an uproar, and they even hired them a security guard. We lost Jeff, didn't we? But they had hired them a security guard, and the security guard wouldn't even stay there. They ended up hiring some more, and finally got one of them that would stay. But I think the first few security guards they got wouldn't even stay up there at night. They all they had them doing was riding around and stopping and sitting a while. And I think the first couple of ones, they just said, "No, I can't do this." So,
Great show. Absolutely, it was a great show tonight. Yeah, man.
Well, I really enjoyed.
Mark's finally got a chance to talk here.
Hey, no, I was good, brother. I mean, I was enjoying Darrell, and hadn't got to talk to him in a while, and I was enjoying listening to him, and he's a good guy. Me and Rebecca sit there up there in LBL around the fire with him and Ron Moorhead. I really enjoyed, really got to know him that day, and then talked to him some more on the phone and messenger, and got to know Darrell pretty good. He's a good guy, and And then, of course, he was up there at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference back in June. And I got to meet his fiance, Rosie, and she's a very nice woman. And Darrell's just a good, down-to-earth guy. I like him. I really like him a lot. And hadn't talked to him in a few months. And good to see him tonight and everything.
Yeah, it's
Greg,
I've heard him before, but he very believable stuff.
Mark,
Well, yeah.
I completely forgot that you were off this week, and we were getting this scheduled, and I was like, David, see if you can find somebody. And then after today, Jerry's like, why didn't you ask Mark? And I was like, oh, shit.
I told him, I said, yeah, Mark's finally on vacation. He's got all these nights off. I said, get him on the show. What's wrong with you?
I appreciate you asking me. I mean, yeah, I've had to turn down a good many, man, just because of the way I work. I've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 here in the last 7, 8 months hit me up, and I said, hey, I'd love to, but I said, I have to leave for work about 8 o'clock at night. And, a lot of them shows weren't even coming on till 8 o'clock at night, and I said, I can't afford to take off vacation for, or be late, because I try to save my vacation time for like the meet and greets and going outings and stuff like that and other stuff. And but yeah, I'm glad. I enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed it tonight, and I just enjoy sitting here just listening and and having a good time. And yeah, they are, Phyllis. They really real good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like both of them, and all of them's a good group of guys. I've got to know Mr. Barton Nunley real well. Mr. Barton's a good guy, and Mr. Martin Groves, he's a real nice guy. I really got to know him some. They both good, real good. Seem like real good guys, and you ever get a chance, y'all need to get them on your show.
Yeah, we'll work on it. Yeah, we definitely get everybody eventually.
Yeah, they'd be two good
when
ones.
Mark's off, we're going to have a full night with Mark.
Do what now?
When you're not working, we're going to have a full night with you when I can remember. My brain's working.
Yeah. Well, I'll be on, after the first year, I'll go to work in 12-hour shifts, so I'll be off, I'll be off 2 Tuesday nights every month.
Oh,
okay. Cool.
So the way it flip-flops. And, so that'll work out pretty good. I kind of look forward to that because that might give me a little more time to get in the woods during the week when there ain't hardly nobody in the woods. That's when me and Keith were really getting a lot of stuff. Was we'd be up on the hunting club, it'd just be me and him. There wouldn't be nobody else up there, and we had to run to the place. And especially during the week at nighttime, we had to run to the place. And that's when we were catching a lot of stuff and having a lot of stuff happen. And I think if I can get that routine started back, I think, might get some more interesting stuff happening again, which I'm having some interesting stuff happening. But I'm wondering if I'll get some more stuff going,
I tell you, when I get down there, I got 3 places I want to go. I want to go to your place. I want to go to Greg's. I want to go to Flat Rocks.
That'll be some good ones.
Might as well make an adventure the whole week while I'm there.
If you can, get Coombos too, if you can.
Well, that's it. Well, hey, I think I can swing 4 in a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it'll be an adventure, but Greg already told me, he's like, if you come down, we're going to try to go to Coombos. I'm like, man, you don't have to, you ain't got to, you got to tempt me. I'll be there.
Yeah. Oh, we'll treat you good, brother.
That'd be like spending the weekend with the Godfather. How am I supposed to say no to that?
Now, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to run out through the woods with peanut butter on you?
See, he just said, You say we're gonna go to Kubo's. That's what,
I'll buy the
Hey,
peanut butter just to
if
see it.
in honor of Kubo, I will run through Kubo's woods with peanut butter in my underwear.
I hear you, bro.
If that's,
Oh my
that's
Lord.
what it takes. I will put on the peanut butter outfit and I will run across Kubo's farm.
Heck yeah, me too.
I might need to drink first because I run way faster in that condition. So at least I think I'm running faster, but you know.
Yeah, Alabama's on my radar for sure. I'm definitely going. Yep. Sometime.
Yeah, I look forward to y'all when y'all get to come. I look forward when David get to come visit Alabama too and come down here and hang out with us. And
I'd love that, man.
We'll give you a week start to get here.
Exactly.
well, I mean, all of us are within a couple of hours of each other. I guess Coombo's going to be the furthest from me. He's about 3.
Speedy to egg.
How
Greg's
far
around.
How far are you from Greg?
I'm roughly about 2 hours.
That's
And if I didn't have to go through
Coombo
Birmingham,
is
I'd probably
past
cut
you
30
then.
minutes off.
Coombo's past you then.
Yeah, Coombo's up in the northwest part of Alabama, and
He's up near Greg. Yeah.
Yeah.
he's 3 hours away. Greg's 2, and Flat Rock is about 2 hours to the south of me. Because I live pretty much right in the almost central part of Alabama, but more to the eastern side.
Yes, so Greg's only like what, an hour from Coombo.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, he's in here. He can tell you. But first time I ever visited Greg, me and my son. Well, no, it wasn't the first time I visited Greg. It was one of me and my boy. Let me get my head straight here, man. Been up at Greg's so many times I can't keep up with it no more. But me and my son went up there, and Greg went over to carry us to the river.
Thanks, Chad.
And we went down into this campground. Y'all probably heard us talking about finding the tents and, all that stuff. And I mean, we had been standing there 10 minutes, and I mean, we heard sound like a big tree fall right up above us. And I mean, just, you could tell something was in there with us. There was no doubt about it. And we come up out of there. And, so, I mean, I hadn't been there in the woods long, and something had done took place, And it's just like one night we had a little group of us. I think that's when Misty and Donna and Sherry and all them was up there, Mr. Jim. And I walked back to my truck, I was in the car. Take that back. I was in the little Toyota car. I had walked back to the car for something. And right across from where I was parked, Greg kind of has his army trailer sitting over there, the one he brings to the campouts. And there's some trees right there beside it. And I seen a big sweet gum limb, pop back in, like it had been pulled back where something could look. And I seen the limb just whoop, just as pretty back. And I knew then, I said, I think it was one standing there. But I mean, I didn't see it. But I seen the limb move, and I figured
that's kind of an odd movement for
yeah. Well, it's like something was holding that limb,
and just let it
and
go.
when I looked over at it, it let the limb go real quick, and I think later that night they had some stuff happen after me and Rebecca left. So, there's no doubt about it. And I mean, that Coombo's. I mean, first time I ever went there, we had stuff happening, and. In fact, that's when Spencer caught that stuff climbing that big oak tree out in the middle of that cornfield. And so, yeah, I mean, your likelihood is pretty good to have something happen when you come down here. And, Creepy Mountain, maybe. And Hollins, yeah. And, we go to Hollins, I guarantee you something gets started down there before the night's over,
Hollins, Creepy Mountain.
Yeah. Now I feel bad. I have not been to Flat Rocks yet, and I need to get down and see Flat Rock.
That's a place I really want to check out after all the stories I've heard about Flat Rocks.
Yeah. I'm hoping
I think I'm
I'll
just
see
gonna
him.
have to make a whole week of it while I'm there.
Well, that's what you need to do, bro. Just come and stay a whole week and just work your way down, and shoot. We'll all have some good suppers at night somewhere, and
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, we'll get
I,
out and
I get to experience Greg's white sauce.
there you go. There you go.
Yes, Spencer, rub it in with Greg's white sauce.
Yeah. But I think y'all would have a good time down in here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
If you didn't have no boogers happen, you still have a good time anyway.
I think we might hear or see one or two.
Yeah, I've got it. I just from what with my luck, I'll walk in there and something will be beating on something somewhere. Or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and something's outside tapping on a window or something. Who knows?
Well, I mean, you just don't never know, and I mean, it's like anything is you never know when something's going to happen, and it's out of the spur of the moment most of the time. And kind of like Darrell was saying, you go in, what kind of mindset you have when you go in there, and number two is act normal. Don't go in there, flashing lights everywhere and making a lot of racket. I mean, those up on Creepy Mountain, when me and Keith and Adam and other people go up there, I mean, a lot of times we would just pick a place and park and sit down and watch and wait and sit there and talk, build a little fire. Within 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, we'd have stuff up there around us. We didn't have to do no calling or do anything. That they usually knew you was there. They know you when you pull in there. They know that.
Yeah, that's like here. I think if we actually like sat back like right here and put out a fire and just had a fire and sat there, like if it was just Jerry and I out there, I think they come in if they're here.
Yeah, I think it would.
Especially some of the places I've been back in the woods where no one else is there, like Western Maryland. I really think that you'd definitely get something because out there we were the only three camped there for most of the week. We never saw anybody in the other. I mean, we seen people hiking past us, but we were the only ones that were camped right where we were for most of the week. And then we walked out. No one else was there except for the one group that came past us. There's a bunch of Asians and they camped on the ridge over from us. Right. They only camped for one night and they hiked back out. So I don't know what the hell that meant. It was weird. Well, they were really quiet coming past us, and they were really quiet leaving. So,
well, next year, for good Lord willing, like I told you, I'm gonna try to come y'all's way.
Well, if you're coming up this far, you might as well go to Gettysburg because we're an hour and what, like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I definitely Gettysburg's always been on my bucket list. I've done Vicksburg, Shiloh, Chickamauga.
I mean, we're right there. We're right above it.
Right.
Well, it's right above us.
Right above us.
I mean,
and you camp over at Michelle. There's state campgrounds over there.
Michelle State Forest is right there, and it's one of the hottest spots in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. A lot of
well, when I come that way, I'm planning on seeing Spencer and Billy and try to make my way up through Virginia and come on up through there to y'all and hopefully turn around and come back down through North Carolina. Hopefully meet up with some, like Patrick or Miss V or Katie and them, some of them there that live in,
Well, Patrick be retired by then. He should be back in West Virginia.
West Virginia, yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to stay in North Carolina or if he was moving back to West Virginia. So.
He says he's planning on coming back up here once he retires. So
Okay.
might be expedited with the broken foot, you
Oh,
know.
come on, Sean. No, I'm not sending him to Baltimore City. Hell no. Oh, no, 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 no. No
Well, let
way.
me tell you, I had never told y'all this. I've actually been to Baltimore one time.
Yeah, you told
Really?
me.
One
Okay.
time.
When I worked at the marble quarries,
Mhm.
the company I worked for, of course, they own marble quarries in Georgia, Alabama, Vermont. I think it was Arizona, Wyoming. They own one there right outside of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they flew us up there one time. I was there one day. We flew in on one evening. We went to some training, and then we flew out that night back to Alabama. I didn't really get to see nothing. I went right over to the plant, and they served us lunch and supper over there. And it's like they was trying to get us back out of there in a hurry. So, I mean, I never really seen the place, you know.
Yeah,
And
miss nothing.
so,
They try to get everybody in and out of there in a hurry.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I look forward to coming up in that part of the country, and then one of these days I'm gonna try to get out there and see David and them too, if good Lord willing. Now that'll be I'll have to take a couple of weeks off for that one, and but I'd like
We
to get
got
out
room for you.
Do what, David?
We got room for you.
Yeah, I hope to get out that day one of these days here in the next couple of years.
I got room here too when you make it.
Yeah,
we just camp out in the field.
That's
I
it.
just
Every he's
just
got a
park
trailer.
the
We'll just
camper
camp
right
out
here
at the
by
farm.
my house. That's all you got to do.
Well, I promise you, I won't come up there and pull the boogers in and then leave. Now, okay?
Oh, man. Well, that's boring.
Yeah, I tell you, yes.
I'll take you over to the peninsula so you can meet those buggers.
I'm just playing, cutting up on that, but I mean, hey, there's some truth to that. Is always be careful who you letting come in on some of your properties and places, because some folks can come in and stir them things up, and good Lord Almighty, you'll be the one left dealing with it. And I've heard some of those horror stories, and you know, you got to be careful, because you know, one wrong person come in there and something take place, and you got to deal with this stuff, and they go on about their merry business, you know, and that is something serious. That's why I don't give out I mean, a lot of people know where Creepy Mountain is, and a lot of people know the real name of it, but it's people I trust. Not saying I don't trust everybody. I'm just saying I have to be kind of careful.
I'm pretty sure you've told me the name of it, and I try not to remember it, so I don't tell anybody.
Right. But the good thing about up there, there is locked gates. There's a lot of hunting club members stay up there.
Yeah.
And we do have some cameras out up there, like at gates and stuff, and at the clubhouse.
Now, have you guys caught stuff on cameras other than like what you've found, or they not tell you if they see it?
I know that Keith caught some stuff off his game cameras when we first started.
Yeah.
I've heard a few other club members mention that they had oddities in their cameras, but I never got to see the pictures.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty smart. They know to stay out of them. I think the way you get them on a game camera is they're way in the background when that camera goes off for maybe. I mean, I got some pictures that I really never showed nobody much because I really just don't know what to say about them. I mean, it's about similar as the ones I put out the other day, and I guess I ought to put them out there and let folks look at them. But I've got some deer feeding, and in the background over here, you know, kind of off to the side, and I don't really want to say this, but there's a dog looking thing standing over there behind a stump. It's a blow down tree, and you can see half of it, and you can see the pointed ears, and you see the muzzle, and this is when I went, is this what am I really looking at? And I did let some people look at it, and they said, Mark, I don't know, but you're right. It's got a canine looking head. And I just never have put that out much because, I don't know what to say.
That ain't weird at all.
Yeah. So, but the camera was taking pictures of the deer. That's what was making the camera go off, but it caught that image back there in the back. So,
well, that with what you found the other day on the cameras, I think something had to have been there, because even if it was a leaf on a spider web or whatever, you would have seen it more than a few times. Because it did.
You would think so.
Camera frame.
Well, you would think. I would think so, and but
yeah, that's what. And I've looked at it, and I can see a conical head.
Right. Yeah, there's other people who have told me.
Yeah.
They could see a head figure.
Pat Noble said the same thing when I talked to him. He's like, there's a conical head there.
Yeah.
We zoomed in on it. It looks, if you look at it, you can see before that particular picture where you can see in the background, it looks like something's behind that tree.
Yeah.
And I've looked at a lot of weird stuff on game cameras, and that just,
yeah, it's odd. It's odd. And that's why I called it strange. It was just high strangeness there, with all the other stuff rolled up with it. And then catch that. And that camera wouldn't have went off without me walking in front of it. I was the one making the camera go off because I walked in.
How far behind you was that?
50, 60, 70 feet. I should have measured it. Next time I go up there, I'll measure it and see exactly how far it is.
I was going to say, I knew it couldn't have been too far, because with those cameras, they don't really pick up on stuff way out there. You might catch something at 50 yards if you're lucky on those cell. Is it a cell cam?
Yeah, it's a Moultrie Edge. It's their ones they come out with last year. You don't have to have.
Is it the one you can look at on your phone, or do you have to pull the?
No, they don't have an SD card in them.
Okay.
And they got the new ones that come out. It's called Edge 2.
But it's not those Wi-Fi ones where you can look at it from your house.
Yeah, you can look from my phone. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now they work off cellular service, so you do have to have cell service.
We've got some of those too, and they work really good. I like that better than having to go out and pull the cards and look at,
Well, it keeps up with your battery power. It tells you if that camera's connected. It tells they actually check that camera every day from somewhere. They send a signal to that camera. And that camera sends a signal back to them, because you'll see it pop up on your phone. Hey, we just checked your camera. Everything's functioning right, and they do that once a day. Well, they've come out with a new one now called the Edge 2 that you can actually make it take pictures for you. You can get on your phone.
Yeah.
If you want a picture right then, you can tell it, take a picture. Which is
we've
cool.
Been using those, we've been using stealth cams.
Yeah. So I like that new option they coming out. So I think that's pretty cool that I can sit there and make it take a picture at 12 o'clock at night. And that might be a game changer for, like Bigfoot hunters, because you might could go in there and make that thing take a picture. Shoot, you might have something in the picture when it takes it, And so, that might be a game changer down the road or something,
It could be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what
If you-
Jerry's going to need to get himself some of those cell cams.
Yeah. Now I tell you, them old plot watchers are pretty good too. You set them up, and they just take pictures. You set them up however long you want them to take, and they just take pictures on a schedule. And I've seen some people with some pretty interesting stuff off them before. And because they don't know that camera's fixing to go off, unless they hear it.
Because it goes every so often.
Yeah.
But Jerry, that's what I think you need is either plot watchers or getting some of the cellular cams.
Why?
For when you go down to your area camping there.
I have 5 cameras.
I know, but these things make it way easier.
Yeah.
All I do is
You don't even have to go out and check them. You just
I know.
Yeah, they're real nice. I mean, they're a game changer on hunting because you go put them up. You sit at your house.
You're
and
looking
watch
for
them.
predators. You could leave that thing sitting out there on a carcass.
Yeah.
Or pig hunters use that. Those guys that hunt hogs, they just set it out there and wait for the pigs to come out, and then they'll walk out there with their night vision or whatever, their night lights, and shoot pigs.
Right.
Out there to feed, because that's how a lot of them guys take those feral hogs now.
Yeah. Well, I want to come check that state park out when I come up there to visit y'all. I want to go.
We'll take you over to. We'll take you over the peninsula.
Yeah, I'd like to go check that out.
There's 2 campgrounds over there too.
Well, I'm planning on bringing my camper with me when I come. I'm gonna. That's what I'm planning on doing. Bringing my camper.
He's gonna have himself a bigger camper when he gets here.
Huh?
You're gonna have yourself a bigger camper when you get here.
Well, that's what I'm planning on. Bought that diesel truck now, and that thing's got some power. And I'm gonna buy a little bigger camper, and then I'm hoping next year, if good Lord willing, sometime there in October, or 1st of November, come up that way. I know it'd be cool weather, but I think that'd be a good time to come while it's kind of chilly.
It is a good time. That's when anything that's ever happened around here visually or hearing has been October, November. So
that's what I was kind of figuring. And like Spencer said, he said that's a good time to come to Virginia, because there's a little state park not far from him that I think I'm going to try to stay at least one day. I think he said it was 20 minutes from him. And he said it's a real pretty state park. And what pictures I've seen.
We've got a couple places near us that you can stay at too, unless you just want to pull her up in the yard.
Right. Well, I might pull it up in the yard and hire out Rebecca to you for a few days or something.
I'm completely fine with that.
Let her get a taste of milking a bunch of cows one morning. And might break all that up. I don't know. I'm just kidding on that. No, she'd probably be all in for it. She'd probably say, "Yeah, let's go milk cows."
It's 828 miles from here, this address right here, where I'm at, to Sylacauga. 828 miles.
Yeah. It'd be what, about 12 hours?
13.
13.
It said 12:49, but with something you're camping in or something, be a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's 8 hours to Spencer there, kind of where Spencer and Billy, I think they're about 8 hours away, somewhere in there, 9 hours from it.
He's probably 5
from
here. Yeah, roughly.
Well, what I figure I'd do is
Darrell's not. Darrell is Westford, where he is in New Jersey. He's not far.
Couple hours.
Yeah. That ain't bad. Y'all have to see if you can get up with Darrell while he's up in that neck of the woods.
I've been over that way, sort of, not quite as far south as where he's at over there in Jersey, but I've been to Wildwood, and over there at the beach.
And then I've been over to that where Diggerland is, where they do all the kids stuff with the excavate and stuff.
Yep.
That's down there in South Jersey too, I think.
Spencer, who? Yeah.
Y'all ever hear much from Delaware?
My
I've
mother-in-law
heard
lives there.
stuff
Yeah.
from
There's
Delaware.
reports from over there. Yep.
Wow.
There's reports from Delaware. I've been working on one, but they haven't got back to me. I don't know what the deal is, but
They got some cool campgrounds over there. A couple of them.
yeah,
Really nice.
Delaware has some great
Wooded.
campgrounds.
Lots of water. Plenty of waterways. Believe me.
Yeah.
A lot of mostly farmland, woodlands, and
There's a lot of stuff down there on the shore.
yep. Eastern Shore of Maryland. You know,
And there's
lot of farmland
there's places I've heard about on the Eastern Shore, Dogman and stuff too. I mean, I've heard.
Greg says, "Do we need
Yeah.
a special permit to go up the
Northern Aggression.
Well, I've been in Ohio a bunch of times and Indiana. They didn't run me back out, so I guess we'll be all right, Greg.
You're safe. You just stay up here north, a good ways north of Baltimore, up here near Pennsylvania. You'll be all right.
You stay
Shoot, them
between
folks in
PA
Ohio.
and
Oh,
Bel Air, you're safe.
do what now?
Stay between PA and Bel Air, you're safe.
Yeah, up here. Yeah, stay up here by the Mason Dixon.
Well, them folks up in Ohio, man, them folks lived out in the country. They just like us. I mean, they just down there. I had a good time meeting.
There's
You
still
know,
a lot of us like that up here. You just
yeah. Now, when you get into Columbus, woo, it gets a little different in there, in Columbus, Ohio. But you know, out in the rural areas and them smaller towns, it's just like being back here at home. You know, except for the accents was different, and the food a little different. But other than that, it's about like being in Alabama. You know, so, enjoyed it. I enjoy going to see my kids up there.
Oh yeah. Where'd you go? He's gone. He left.
Yeah, he disappeared on us.
You gonna talk tonight, David, or?
I'm just enjoying listening to you guys. I'm so far across countries, like all the names of the places you're talking about, it's just foreign, and
Yeah,
I'm just enjoying it.
You want to talk about bears?
Bears and deers.
bears and deers.
Yeah, I saw Greg was talking about trying to get the nerve to fly over here, man. He, like you said, drive.
Oh yeah,
Great
driving.
guy.
Oh, I can't. I'll tell you, when we retire, I cannot wait. We're gonna get a bigger RV. See ya.
Yeah, I look forward to it too.
Full timing, baby. See ya. Hope to.
Me and Rebecca's wanting to do a lot of traveling when we get
Yep.
retired. So
Nice.
Yeah. Scary part is it's getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real close. So
Yeah.
that's all right.
Helen Keller.
Hey,
yeah,
that's all
Chad.
jump up with
My kids live in Plain City, Ohio,
Plain City.
right outside of Columbus.
Columbus. And Columbus is
Yeah, I had a couple of interesting experiences in downtown Columbus. I will say that. So I got off on one street over there, and it got very interesting very quick.
I bet.
And they were looking at me crazy, like, "What are you doing in here?" So
Yeah.
I knew then. I said, "I am out of my league over here."
I had that experience in Lancaster one day.
Mark, my ex-wife drove me through this section of Baltimore one time that we're not supposed to go through.
Right. That's
It's called
all.
Pigtown, and Gary knows the area I'm talking about.
Where's you at?
Pigtown.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah, I told her. I said, "Are you effing nuts?" That was what I said.
No way.
And I didn't have any pew pews on board, but I opened up a very large pocket knife that I had with me, and when the squeegee boys walked up to the car, I slapped that on the dash, and
That
One of
blows
the-
my mind how they get away with that crap.
one of them was like, "They ain't gonna pay," and they ran off and left the damn windshield wipers up, and I had to tell her to drive up the ramp, and then I had to get out and go put the wipers back down on the off ramp.
And nobody will do nothing about it.
I couldn't let her drive the damn new car with the windshield wipers up I just had to get out of the area and flip them back down real quick. And that tells
Yeah, Erica asked. Yeah, Plain City is just is west of Columbus. It's right where I guess the city ends, and the farmland starts back toward Springfield and Marysville. I used to have to go to Marysville a lot because our sister plant the company I work for, got a sister plant there in Marysville. Well, they got plants all over Ohio, but I know a lot of Ohio people because I work with a lot of them down here, and so I've been all over that place. The Hocking Hills, Salt Fork, south of Dayton, Miamisburg, right outside of Cincinnati. I've been all up in there. It's beautiful country.
I'd like to go to Salt Fork and Hocking Hills.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I like the Hocking Hills better than I did Salt Fork.
Yeah,
yeah. I want to go. I want to go hang out with Kane. That's where I want to go.
Yeah, it's
so hear whatever's making noises on his screened-in porch at 3 a.m.
Them Hocking Hills is pretty. Me and my boy rode over there one day and hung out in there. Went to that Hocking Hill State Park and went to another place. I can't remember the name of it. And we went all up in there, walking in trails and a lot of bluffs in there, a lot of big bluffs and big rock cliffs. And man, it's pretty in there. All back in there. I really enjoyed it. And when you got down in there, it kind of felt like I was back in Alabama because it's kind of the same terrain, and it was pretty neat. I liked it real good. And and out there west of Columbus is pretty cool. You get on out in them smaller towns, and in fact, I got pulled over in a little town called Mechanicsburg, Ohio, and the cop, I think he was the only cop in the whole town. And of course, I was in the company vehicle and it had Alabama tags on it. And he pulls me over. And it's like 11 o'clock at night because I'm late. I went and seen my kids. They was in Marysville then. And I was driving back down toward Miamisburg because we had a class was having to go to. And he pulled me over. And he come walking up there. And he said, I pulled you over because you're going a little fast. I said, okay, yes, sir, I probably was. And he said, what in the world is somebody from Alabama doing out here in this little old neck of the woods out here? And I said, I told him who I worked for. And I said, we having a class down at Miamisburg area. And he said, well, what are you doing up here in this neck of the woods? I said, well, my kids live in Marysville. He said, oh, okay. So he said, well, just drive careful down these old 2-lane roads at night. He said, deer run out in front of you and all kind of stuff. He said, be careful now. He let me go. He didn't even write me. He didn't even never pull my license and look at it or nothing. I think he pulled me over because he seen Alabama tags. So I think he's wondering what I was doing in there, So
yeah, it gets rural up through there. We used to go to Fort Recovery, Ohio, twice a year, which is just north of Greensville, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right on the Indiana-Ohio border.
Yeah.
And it's nothing, just corn as far as the eye can see. You're driving. It's almost kind of hypnotizing at night when you're driving down through there with the tall corn on both sides of the road. It's just really weird.
Well, I will tell you, one of those nights I was left Marysville, and I can't remember that highway number that goes from Marysville back down towards Springfield. Can't remember it right. It hit me here in a minute. But you have to go through a couple of little small towns, Mechanicsburg, and there's another one. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a little river you have to cross in there. I call it a creek. It's called Darby Creek. There it is, Darby Creek. And I come, and it's some big cornfields right in there, right there close to that Darby Creek. And I was getting close to it. And in my headlights, there was something went across the road, and I swore it was on two legs. But I mean, I can't say that definitely it was. But I swore that night it was on two legs, whatever went across that road. And it went across that road in a hurry. And I did go to look and see if there's any Bigfoot reports in that area. And there were a few along that Darby Creek. So, I mean, that was possible. But, you know, it could have been a deer and it just looked funny looking. But I swore it had two legs when it went across that, you know, it was a 2-lane road. And it was nothing but cornfields on both sides of the road. And when that sun gun went across, it was moving, you know, whatever it was.
Yeah, Chad, you're right. That's where I was going. Port Recovery, Ambassador Park. Yep. Jockey tractor pulls. Long way to go to a Grand National tractor pull, but it was worth every mile.
Yeah.
A lot of fun out there. Well, Jeff, you've kept me on another 3 hours again, Denton.
Hey, it wasn't my fault. I'm over here checking chat. I'm awake.
Yeah, you're awake. That's the impressive part.
It's all my talking, Jerry.
Hey,
I barely slept last night, so I don't know
let's
how
bring
much-
Blaylock on, number 3 guy. You know, hey, yeah, we're bringing him on. He's a great questionnaire and everything. Never asked any questions. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, brother. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
We're brother windows in the house. Look out. We might set that 6-hour mark tonight. Kidding.
I don't know now. I don't think I can go 6 hours.
Not with me. Not tonight.
I don't think I'd
I
have
already
no
told,
6
I told Roger, I said I'm willing to go the distance to break the record.
Yeah. We'll do that on the Beards and Boogers. We start that Beards and Boogers deal, I think, if and when we do. Yeah.
We'll have to get Kumbo and Greg involved in that.
Yeah. We need somebody that can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Right. We got Roger. Roger. Now we got to break his record, though. We got to get somebody to break his record.
Hey, what you ought to do one of these days is just have people come in at different times all
Yeah.
night long.
Yes.
Have
Yes.
scheduled times. Hey, you come in at this time, and see
Well,
how
that was
long
what-
you can.
That was what Miss V talked about for Christmas. She wants to do a 24-hour show. Just have somebody else
Wow.
go
That
on.
sounds like a good idea.
Go on every hour.
My
Hey,
wife's
all
got to work
24
Christmas.
hours
That's a good
Christmas.
idea.
I
Yeah.
think that's awesome.
that'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yep.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think that would be interesting to see. I'd sign up for that. I told her, I said, you just let me know.
I think
Yeah.
she mentioned something to me about that. I think.
Yeah,
I
that's
think she
something
did.
I know she really wanted to do.
But she just
Phyllis,
leaves to
be
let us
careful when
know.
you say crack me up here. Gets Jeff nervous.
Do what now?
Phyllis said, you crack me up, Greg. I said, please be careful saying crack around Jeff here. He gets nervous.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I'm surprised he ain't shot me by now. So
Me too.
I really do pick on him way too much. I
y'all
gotta
check
get
out Miss V. She had Miss
Hey,
Dunn on tonight.
You guys heard you
Yeah.
guys ain't the one that you got to worry about me. There's a certain local that's got to worry about my ass.
Yeah, he's wolf hunting. You got to watch out. He's wolf hunting.
Yeah, he's one. Yeah. Mark
I told you,
knows about that. David hasn't gotten a full story on that. We'll talk. David will find about it. Well,
Off
he
air.
kind of knows.
All fair. Yeah, I can take you right to the front door to that one. So
Yeah. Jerry's hoping that I burn the house down. That's what Jerry.
I didn't say. Don't say Jerry any part of that now. Don't say that.
Don't do it.
Jeff
I
will
already
not
took
wake
my
up and keep.
nap, Greg. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I almost did.
Spencer.
Spencer can do lunch hour.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good for him. No, man.
I don't think I've ever seen him on any of our chats.
I think he snuck in there one time. I think I
Might have.
seen him in there. I thought it was Bigfoot himself. I was a little concerned. Bigfoot was taking on Spencer's persona to come into the chat room.
I think, at nighttime during the week, he's kind of got his hands kind of full, I think. And
Well,
then
you see him sometimes on your show on Friday, so
yeah, he'll come in there for a little bit, but he's usually cooking supper, and I think during the week his wife's at home more, and so he's spending more time with them, but I know he watches a lot of our shows because he comments to me. He said, "You see so and so show this week?" And I said, "Yeah," or this, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I got to watch it later." So I think he watches and keeps up with stuff, but. Kumbo should be in charge of lunch hour.
River. River keep me up at night. Hey, that was River's idea, not me. I didn't know I was coming on last night with you. And then
River's got it made.
Then Barry showed up at 1:30 in the morning. I was like, what the hell?
That's only 12:30.
Hey, it's some late night folks on here because I'll be at work. And somebody will be having a show. They'll make a comment. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, man, what's them folks still doing up?
Trust me.
Or I'll get a text
I'm not up
sometimes
at 3 o'clock in the
morning.
unless I'm waking up early to go to the bar, and that's about the only time you see me. 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Wendell.
Wendell.
Well, last night River woke Wendell up, and I was like, well, I guess I got to stay up for a little bit. Wendell's on. And then Barry showed up. And then my kid woke up. I was like, oh, God, I got to put him back to sleep. Then I came back on.
Yeah, I've watched some of her stuff. She's there somewhere, I think, right outside of Cincinnati, I think. I've watched some of her stuff. And yeah, she is kind of gets out there walking. So
is that another Misty we got to deal with?
I don't know a whole lot about her. I've watched a few of her shows. She gets out there, and there was one night, there was something behind her. I could see it back there. Now, I don't know what it was. I ain't going to say it was a Bigfoot or what it was, but there was definitely something back there behind her out there in the field. But I don't really know what it was. But it didn't look little. It looked big. And she gets out there in some places. I've watched some of her stuff. So.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of it.
There's so many YouTube channels, it's hard to keep up with everybody. I mean, there's not enough time in the day to watch everybody. And there's a lot more that I catch here and there, and it's just hard to keep up with everybody,
It's 11:30 already. Jeez. I just looked over like, holy cow.
It's early for Mark. He's an hour ahead of us.
Hey, it's like being at work right here.
David is probably only like 9 o'clock over there.
8:30, 8:25.
Yeah.
But now, whenever y'all ready, I'm good too. I'm just carrying on with y'all. I'm not used to being up at night like this.
I love nights like I could have Mark on every week for ever.
Yeah, I get working at 12 hours.
Sign him up. Get him a contract. Sign him up.
We're gonna get Mark every Tuesday that he's off during the week. He's got to come on the show. That's a new deal.
Oh man.
That 5 a.m. comes early.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree
Barry
on
is
that.
turning into a
Are
night
you-
owl. I used to be a night owl.
When are you guys getting those goats?
I don't know. I think we might be getting one pretty soon, and I need to go up here and talk to the guy at the end of the road. He's got a little herd up there and see what he's got. So I'm figuring probably right after the first of the year. I'm figuring because we got the little the little camp out up at the grist mill weekend after next, and
Yeah.
we got our campfire the next weekend here at the house, and then
Tell
think
you,
we
if it
have
was
one-
my mom's birthday on the 6th, I'd be there.
Yeah. I know you would, brother.
My mom still cusses my grandfather for going hunting that weekend. He still made it to he still made it there for when she was born around the same time, but he did go hunting that morning. I
Yeah.
don't know if she holds that resentment for some reason. that was the old school way of things.
Well, we may have some interesting videos after we get the goats. I've got the feeling there'll be some interesting videos happening on that one. So
Yeah, we'll see how the electric fence works.
yeah, we'll see how that works.
And see if you're not out there trying to chase them out of the road somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Billy, I'll check it out here in just a minute. And but now I've enjoyed it, guys. I know Jerry's need to get into bed. I know 5 a.m. be rough. Now I'm fixing to have to call it a night too. I think Rebecca done said the devil when it went on to bed without me. But
Well, she did that last night when you called me. So.
yeah. She come over here and said, I'm going to bed. So
Yeah, mine's probably been in for at least 2 hours now. So
do what now?
Cindy's in bed. She's probably in bed by 9:30.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's rough when you gotta get up
I'm
early in the
surprised
morning.
she was fired up earlier when I talked to her.
I had to hurry up and dial the phone.
Yeah,
Oh man.
that Italian, that Italian.
Oh, yeah. Lord, don't piss that woman off.
Look
Brothers, I appreciate it. I'm gonna get
Yes,
on
sir.
off here too, and I've enjoyed it. And I'm glad y'all had me on, and
Yep.
I
You'll be
really
back.
enjoyed being on with Darrell and everything. I thank the world of Darrell and thank the world of all y'all, and I've enjoyed it tonight. And I enjoyed listening to Darrell talk a while. He just has so much, and he's like Kumbo. You just kind of kick back and sit there and listen, and let him go, and so I enjoyed it, and I appreciate y'all having me
Is
on.
that still Peanut? What's the other one's name, David?
He's good at that, Mark.
Oh,
I can't remember.
this is Lincoln, and the other one's Peanut.
I'm terrible.
Anyway,
Thank you so much, Mark, for being here, man. It's
Yeah,
absolutely
thank
awesome
you.
to hear you.
I enjoyed
See?
it, fellas. I
David
enjoyed
really
it.
does talk. See, David.
Yeah, when it's time to go, it's like, all right, you guys.
Mark's new work schedule, we'll have to get him on the show more. Since
Yeah.
he's gonna be.
Well, we know the computer works.
Yeah, it does, huh?
I mean, you did not a single glitch at all with you. Tonight.
Yeah,
That's right. He's been here all night, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He even
Yeah,
changed
he knows the
rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
twice. No,
Yeah.
no, twice. You went upstairs and back down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I started off
I
down
just
here.
the
Yeah.
only thing I screwed up on was which miniature pincher was on.
It's Lincoln.
That's
Now,
Lincoln.
what's the color difference between him and Peanut?
He's Merle, the
Okay,
Merle
I was
color,
gonna
and
say, he
she's
looked
the
a little
black and
different.
rust.
Yeah.
He looks basically like a healer,
Yeah.
like the blue and black and tan. He's a rescue dog. We got him for $70, and he's just a great little dog.
Well, didn't you get Peanut at the same time, or are they two different?
We
dogs?
got Peanut first, And then we decided we wanted
So
to.
they're not even related then.
No.
So you
No.
got two different min pins.
Yep. And we had another one that we had for 14 years, and she passed. And then we waited a couple
So
years.
you had other min pins before.
Yeah.
That.
We've had 3 total.
I was only kidding,
I didn't
David. You
even
talk
know
too
that-
much.
Yeah,
That-
shut up.
Sorry, I'm a dog guy. Even if it's
So
a
good.
little
I like dogs too. I just don't have time to walk them and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
Jerry's got them damn house cats. You need to get a
Hey,
dog.
they take care of themselves, all right?
Stop,
They take care
Jerry,
of
you need a
themselves.
dog.
I've had dogs. I've had plenty of dogs.
You don't got one now. You get a damn
Even the
dog.
kind on 4 legs. So
I
Oh,
just,
boy. Oh,
I have a
boy.
dog.
nah. Not right now.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I hope everybody has a happy
thank
Thanksgiving.
you.
Go see
Thank
your
you,
family
Mark.
and your friends. And
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye to
and
everyone.
y'all
Yes.
Mark.
be praying for each other, too. Be praying for each other.
Yeah.
I hope everybody has a good hunting this weekend because I'll be out in the deer stand. Gun season's opening on Saturday.
Newfound friend.
I've got permits to shoot them whenever via crossbow archery gun, but that's like my favorite. That's my favorite day of the year, right after Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Google to you all.
Yeah, one day we're gonna get Jerry back out in the woods.
Yeah. It'd be nice just to get out and scout around a little bit. You know, I got this
Yeah.
box full of goodies here. I'd like to put them to use.
Nice.
There you go.
take your thermal deer hunting with us.
Jerry
Oh,
needs a
man.
dog walks on 2 legs. Ouch.
That's what Mark.
He
If
missed
you
my
take
comment
the
earlier.
thermal out deer hunting, that's what you should be doing.
Take the thermal with me.
Yeah, take the
Yeah,
thermal.
I have to try
Yeah.
that out. May have to try that out.
Just don't
Can-
do it while the game warden's out there. They're gonna.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
All right.
All right, fellas. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Happy Thanksgiving.
You
Happy
too.
Thanksgiving, Mark.
Thank
Right.
To you
Thanks,
and Becky.
everybody in chat. We'll be back next week with something. I guess somebody.
Something.
Sure. At least I got the thumb this time.
You got it. Though.
We'll,
Y'all
discuss,
have a good one.
we'll discuss that later.
I'll see y'all.
All right.
You know,
thanks, Mark. You guys hang tight real quick. I'll get this. Man, I'm lost here. Where's my? Oh, there it is. Next Tuesday. Right, guys?
Yep.
Sound like a plan? Okay. We'll be back next Tuesday, 8:00. See you then.
Sounds good.
I'm tired. I'm really tired. I'm really tired.
I'm awake. I don't know what.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. See ya.
Barry just now